Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Vote.
I'm saying no while you hear Palantir, 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 Palantir. Stop.
Seriously, we need to release the F-scene list.
Turns off.
I am not a church boy.
Turns off.
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a Sunday special matinee edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobular, of course.
Hello.
How's everybody doing today? Appreciate you all accommodating the time switch today. We are here earlier than usual. Russ, you want to explain why we moved the show today?
All right. So, look, man, I got this very problematic Irish friend. He's having he's having some troubles. I got to sit down with him. His name's Jimmy. And, he asked me to go to dinner. I haven't seen him in a long time.
One night only.
JD, not Jack Daniels, Jimmy Dore.
That's right. One night only.
Yeah. I have not. I used to see Jimmy a lot. There was, like a year and a half, 2 year period where we were in the same place a lot in Chicago and all that. And I haven't seen him since it's like a year and a half. We did an event for Jose in October 2024. That was the last time I saw him. So he asked me to go to dinner. I haven't seen him in a very long time, so I am going to go, provided he makes it.
Yeah. Flights are a little problematic.
That would be ironic.
Yeah,
that would be ironic.
Well, I was
strangely, he's coming on Israel Day.
That's right, Israel Parade Day. That's right.
He's coming on the Israel Day Parade. Yes.
I was a little hesitant about doing a Q&A today anyway, since the Rumble tech has been so wonky lately. But we're meeting with them before the next stream. So what we decided to do was just reschedule the Q&A till Tuesday. So we're going to do a Q&A after the Tuesday afternoon show instead of after today. So little schedule mix up this week. Jake is in the booth with us today, though, even though it is a daytime show. So a round of applause for Jake in the chats. Thanks, everybody, very much for being here. We got 572 to start things off in the YouTube chat. We got 236 to start things off over in the Rumble chat. Immediately following the show today, I am premiering one of my newer Shuffle Pod videos. Now that Russ is back, I have some time to do more of these, so that's exciting. So I have my 1996 album countdown premiering at 5:30, or whenever this show wraps up. I will adjust it accordingly. We should be done around that time. So hang around. This will redirect you if you're watching on YouTube, and have some fun. Take your mind off of the horrors of the world for a little while. So check that out. 1996 was a tough year because there were no automatic classics in that year. There were no legendary albums.
What came out that, because that was like a transition period away from grunge.
Yes. It was between grunge
hip-hop,
and indie and hip hop. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't want to say too much about what came out because I don't want to give any spoilers. But yes, it was kind of a transition year. For sure. And, there are some years are stronger than others, but most years there are one or two classics where you feel like, all right, gotta put that one on.
You can hang it on that. Yeah.
Right. That cuts the work in half. Like 97, the next year, that there's three right off the bat that I'm 100% certain are going to be on. So that makes it a lot easier. This was wide open. I had no clue what I was going to put on when I first started. You ought to know that was Alanis Morissette. That was 95. Actually. And that is an automatic for most people, but I'm not a big fan of hers. I don't like the way she sings.
I
Her voice
mean,
is
I mean that
irritating.
album is a classic, though.
Yeah, but her voice is just so irritating. I find her voice very unpleasant. Just me.
Yeah,
Subjective.
I mean, but it was like the biggest album.
Yeah,
of
it was a huge album that year. Yeah, that Oasis
one of
was,
the biggest
was
of
that
the-
year. I
of
didn't
the
like that one
decade.
very much either. But yeah, no,
Oh,
that's a huge
okay,
one.
it's funny, man. I remember I went back and forth. We had like an Oasis fan. This was a while ago, and cover bands in Vietnam were all playing like freaking don't look back in anger. That one, don't look back in anger. I heard you say. So I listened to like the biggest Oasis hits while I was over there. And if anything, it just reinforced my opinion. Like, and I share this opinion with Paul McCartney. He did an interview where he talked about meeting them. And, they felt he was dismissive of them. Look, they were like, okay, you know how when you get a cover band and then they write an original song, they're so used to covering the band they cover, they just write the song in the style of that band. And it's like a less talented version of that band's sound. That's what they are. They're like a Beatles cover band writing original music that's a bad imitation of what they're covering.
Yeah, I was never a huge fan of theirs, partly for that reason. Yeah. And so yeah, I was never a big Oasis person.
It's like if you gave Lennon a frontal lobotomy, he might have written those kinds of lyrics. It's like if you kind of got the structure of Beatles lyrics, but you did not have the talent to get the essence of a Beatles lyric, you would write lyrics like backbeat, word is on the street, the fire in your eyes is out. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a Beatles lyric, but it's just completely empty of content or meaning or resonance.
Yeah, no, I'm not an Oasis guy at all. And I saw somebody, Alice in Chains Unplugged. I totally whiffed on that. I don't count live albums in the top rankings. It's got to be a studio album. But I do give like honorable mention shout outs to some of the better live ones. And yeah, I realized just after I uploaded it that I missed that one. For some reason I had it in my head that was the following year. I have no idea why. But that one's on me. But that doesn't affect the rankings. I only rank the studio albums anyway. It's not fair to rank live albums, because the live albums, people play their greatest hits. They play their best songs, and that doesn't count really.
Right.
But yeah, Alice in Chains Unplugged is terrific. Terrific. All right. Well,
So
hey.
I got out to New Jersey. I picked up my Vietnam box that I shipped to my friend's house. So this was one of the shirts that I shipped to
there you
myself.
go.
This
Very
from
cool.
Vietnam. At the bottom it says freedom, communism. It's a fight for freedom.
Yeah.
And this, I was showing this to Keaton before. This is kind of cool. I got this in Hoi An. This is called a Confucius cup. It has a hole in the bottom where if you fill it up 80%, the water will stay in. But if you go 100%, it'll all start pouring out. The lesson being, what's the lesson, kids? Keaton got it right away. You got it right away. Don't be greedy.
Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. Yeah, less
Don't
is
be
more.
greedy.
Less
Is more. Exactly.
right.
It's very Asian.
Very Asian. That's right. All right. Well, hey, let's get started here, everybody. Thanks very much for being here. All right. Gonna have some fun today. I think we've got a couple of fun ones on the docket for today on a Sunday afternoon. So America's 250th birthday is coming up, as we know, and the White House is looking like this with the East Wing totally destroyed. And a UFC fighter cage being built on the front lawn. So, I just observed. I say, hey, I'm not a Democrat, but if this was the scene at the White House under a Democratic president, it would be a 24/7 Fox News meltdown. Imagine like Barack Obama had the White House looking like this for an extended period of time. Just insane. But in addition to the UFC cage match, there is going to be a 250th anniversary Freedom concert on the National Mall in D.C., featuring a wide range of artists. Oh, what? Not such a wide range. What happened here? Update on Trump's Freedom 250 concert. Looks like a lot of cancellations there. What happened there? A lot of artists signed up and decided, nah, you know, we're not doing it. You got Martina McBride, Young MC, you got CNC Music Factory, Milli Vanilli, first canceled and said they're not canceling. Now it looks like they may be canceling. The Commodores canceled. Who else you got there? Morris Day and the Time, and Bret Michaels canceled. So now you're down to Flo Rida and Vanilla Ice for the 250th anniversary celebration of America. Wow. That is a perfect metaphor for how far America has fallen. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why they need him. I mean, they can't have him cancel because I'm sure that's going to be a big thing. I'm sure the crowd is going to launch into USA chants during the Ice Ice Baby song. So they're lucky they haven't lost him. Once they lose him, that's it.
It's all over.
Although that might be it anyway, as we're going to see, because
now they're gonna have to put Mixmaster Kushner on the mic.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So looks like you're down to 2 headline acts, and it says at the bottom and many more. Well, I hope they have many more because they're going to need many more to fill that time, assuming this thing goes on as planned, which looks very questionable at this point. But Fox News was very offended at all of these cancellations here. So, Right Scopes is breaking. Washed-up celebs are bolting from the massive America 250 concert on the National Mall like it's radioactive. So, let's take a look.
Of performers are withdrawing from this historic Freedom 250 concert. Martina McBride, Bret Michaels are withdrawing, but Vanilla Ice, a 90s star, is saying, nope, I'm not backing down. I want to be involved in this. I think we've got a little bit of
we have some of the statements from
she
the
steps
people who
on
have
it.
dropped out.
She steps, yeah, not yet, idiot. First, we have to read the statements of the woke losers who canceled.
This is why they say they're dropping out of celebrating America on her 250th birthday.
That's why they hate America.
They were booked, and then they said, I'm not going to do it. Martina McBride was one of them, and she said, I was presented with an opportunity to perform at a nonpartisan event, but that turned out to be misleading. I asked a lot of questions, and I was assured this was a nonpartisan event that was meant to celebrate all 50 states.
Hey, listen, if this were a nonpartisan event, they'd have like fucking Bruce Springsteen there.
Right.
They'd have fucking Stevie Wonder there. Like if this were not
Beyonce.
Yeah, they'd have Beyonce. Like if this were not a de facto Trump event, they'd have like big name talent there. Okay, the reason why you fucking losers are being invited there is because it's a partisan event that most people don't want anything to do with. So I don't know how you got fooled into thinking that this was some nonpartisan event. If this were not politically toxic, none of you guys would have been invited to begin with. No disrespect to the Commodores. I mean, the Commodores are a fine band, but they're a little
How
past
can they
their
not
time.
get Nicki Minaj? She fucking danced in a video with Scott Bessent.
Well, that's what I said. I said, the fact that Kid Rock and Nicki Minaj are not volunteering to step in and save this thing tells you it's a shit show, even by shit show standards, right? Because you think they would be stepping in to bail them out.
Why can't they get their people?
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to see what it is that she saw that was nonpartisan. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Young MC is also backing out, saying despite the claims by organizers that events is nonpartisan, Spin Magazine describes it as Trump-backed, meaning Trump is involved in it because, I don't know, he's the president of the United States.
Young MC says, I didn't realize this was some whack-ass cracker shit. That was his statements to the press as to why he dropped out.
Bret Michaels, this one just kills me.
This
also
kills
backing
me,
out.
huh?
Unfortunately, what was presented to us as a celebration of our country has evolved into something much more divisive than what I agreed to be a part of. Part of what it makes it divisive is that you fall for the nonsense.
Yeah, the Commodores also were going to be performing, and they said, our music has always been our voice, and we choose not to publicly affiliate with any single political party. But as you said, this is what Vanilla Ice said. Watch.
I'm super honored to do this concert with everybody. We're going to bring back the 90s. Put your dancing shoes on. You'll be happy. Trust me, it's all about enjoying the great times of 250 years, man, from George Washington to now and all the presidents and everybody in between. This is a magical event that's going to happen and very rare. So I'm honored, man. This is going to be epic. And that's
to
it.
be this guy.
Proud to be an American and proud and honored for this event.
Yeah, good on Vanilla Ice.
Good for him.
Good on Vanilla Ice, I guess.
We love him.
So
the
he's
other
not
short-
washed up.
I don't know what's happening yet.
Yeah, no, he's not washed up. He's not a has-been.
The other
Yeah,
ones are has-beens.
He is contemporary. That's right. Vanilla Ice. Good on him. Good on Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice is taking a courageous stand against the woke mob, right? The woke left, the anti-American left, are not going to ruin this glorious celebration of our wonderful country. I'm sure that's why he's not backing out. I'm sure it's totally a principled stand, a principled pro-America stand by Vanilla Ice, right? Oh, wait, no. Vanilla Ice defends plan to perform at Trump White House's Freedom 250. He says, I'll go play for Putin and I'll play in Iran if you want. Oh,
he went on to fall to his knees and scream, I'll suck your dick.
Yeah, exactly. So looks like Vanilla Ice will just go wherever there's a paycheck. That's what it seems like. Let's take a look at this. So that article was citing this interview that he gave to TMZ.
So what do you think about this? That, you know, it's a birthday party and now it just feels super political.
Oh man, I'm not gonna get dragged into that. I'm here to party with America, man. Music is made to bring people together, man. And that's what we're here to do, man. We're just gonna represent the 90s. I don't take anything too serious. I don't think anybody else should. I think that we should just dance. You know, it's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and you got to get out and pursue it with dance. It's all about just us making it this far and then kind of bringing people together. And that's what this is about. I don't think that it should be about any political thing or anything like that. I don't even vote, so I don't even care. And if Biden called up, hey, and he said, my daughter's getting married, we need Vanilla Ice, I'd go play. It's not a big thing. You play for your fans. You know, we don't get a chance to pick our fans. They pick us. And I'll go play for Putin and I'll play in Iran if you want. It don't matter.
You wire me the money, I'll play anywhere. I don't give a shit. I'm not about politics. I don't give a fuck about nothing. I don't give a shit about nothing. You know, I remember 9/11. Everybody was all scared. I said, what the fuck? Who gives a shit? I got 9/11 bitches in my guest house ready to ride my dick. What the hell do I care? Why do they even have two towers look the same anyway? Who gives a shit, man? Let's just dance. Let's just party. Let's just pop the champagne and let's go. I don't fucking care.
My next gig after this is for the RSF. They just genocided a whole bunch of people. I just told them, listen, man, just don't sexually assault anyone while I'm there. That's all I ask, and they agreed to that. I had that rider put in my contract, and that's it. You know, there are ways you can ethically perform for genocidal monsters. So I can perform for Trump. He's only a second-degree genocidal monster. It's mostly the Jews doing that shit anyway.
Yes, by the way, I'll play for them too.
I'll play for them too.
They don't pay as much, you know. They got to up their quota a little bit, but you know,
dogs
I'll go over
in
there.
the kennel while I'm singing. All right.
Yeah. Maybe up your price a little bit. You know, I know you guys are tough. Like
I'd
that.
Pucker my ass a little bit. You bring those dogs out.
Yeah, I'll go play for Putin. I'll go play for Iran. I don't give a fuck. That's the principled stand by Vanilla Ice. Good for him. That's an American patriot. But, you know, Donald Trump was not taking this very, very well. He says, I understand artists are getting the yips having to do with their performance on Wednesday. So I'm thinking about bringing the #1 attraction anywhere in the world, the man who gets much larger audiences than Elvis in his prime, and he does so without a guitar, the man who loves our country more than anyone else, and the man who some say is the greatest president in history, the GOAT, Donald J. Trump, to take the place of these highly paid, third-rate artists, quote unquote, and give a major speech rallying the country forward like I have done ever since being president. 2 years ago, the United States was dead. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. I don't want so-called artists that get paid far too much money who aren't happy. I only want to be surrounded by happy people, smart people, successful people, and people that know how to win. So by copy of this truth, I like that. By copy of this truth, I am ordering my representatives to look at the feasibility of doing an America is Back rally on Wednesday, Washington, D.C., same time, same location. Only great patriots invited. It will be a wild and beautiful celebration of America. President Donald J. Trump. Why don't we have a January 6th reenactment day at the Capitol? Cancel everything. You know, there's Civil War reenactors. That's going to be
Yeah,
a thing.
yeah, no, yeah.
In 150 years, they're going to have January 6th reenactors.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have the lawn chair and the sausage and pepper sandwich, and, you walk through the Capitol.
Who's going to play the feds in the crowd?
Yeah, who's going to play Ray Epps? Who's playing Ray Epps this year?
Who's doing that?
Yeah. Someone's not handling the cancellations well. No, that was only the first truth. The second one, we should have a giant Make America Great Again rally for 250 instead of having overpriced singers who nobody wants to hear, whose music is boring, and yet who do nothing but complain. Cancel it, just like I canceled my involvement with the failing, I love this, the failing and unsafe to be in Kennedy Center. That's right, because they ordered that he had to have his name taken off. I love how all of a sudden he says it's unsafe to be there.
Yeah, he canceled it.
Yeah, because a highly conflicted, crooked federal judge said that I should not be allowed to spend my time and money in order to make the center great again. Actually, far greater than it ever was before. It would have also been nice to see a Republican-Democrat union bring it back to life. The Kennedy Center is broken, unsafe, and busted, and has been for many years. Judge Cooper also stated that the highly prestigious board of the center was not authorized to add on the name Trump, despite the fact that hundreds of millions of dollars of my time and money will be necessary for its successful reincarnation. So now the Kennedy Center will collapse both structurally and financially. Judge Cooper and his wife, Amy Jeffress, obfuscation, anyone? I don't get that. Should be ashamed of themselves. Judge Cooper, like numerous other crooked judges on my cases, should be impeached. Make America great again. President Donald J. Trump. So Doug Burgum is the guy who was actually responsible, I guess, Secretary of the Interior, for organizing this event. So here's his comments on the fact that it seems to be collapsing and on the cusp of outright cancellation.
With just the big picture and the celebration, because as Interior Secretary, you are leading the initiative to celebrate the country's big anniversary. As I mentioned, 5 musical artists dropped out of Freedom 250 this week after they were announced. And these artists say they found out it was going to be a partisan event and were misled. Your response?
Well, Dana, let's just start with the big picture, which, of course, is celebrating our 250th anniversary as a country. I mean, what a miracle. Everybody in the country ought to stand back and say, wow, how incredible is it? You think about the revolutionaries that fought Great Britain, won independence. You think about the battles that we went through the Civil War to hold the Union together. And then here we are across the nation, not just in D.C., holding events to celebrate this incredible thing, the abundance that we have, the freedoms we have, the freedom of speech we have. And the the Great American State Fair running 15.
No, we're all so proud. That's why the highest profile act you could get for this was Flo Rida, who I think last had a hit song in 2009? I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I'm actually not as hip on new music as I probably should be, but it's been a good 10 years at least.
Days here on the Mall, starting in late June and going through July 10th, is a celebration of all 50 states and all territories. There is a planned event for the opening of that, and of course, I with a smile on my face, I can't wade into the politics of musicians because some musicians want to play music for everybody, and some musicians seem to have segmented their audience.
Some musicians are like, I'll play music for anybody. I'll play for anybody who will listen to me. No, I think they want to play for everybody. I think that's what their reservations are.
The same way politicians have. But this is Freedom 250, and the celebration of the 250 is a nonpartisan event. And I would encourage everybody in America to get out, celebrate in your own way, celebrate in your own community. And if you're here, over those 15 days, you get a chance to see the amazing things going on across all of our 50 states.
Okay, so that was sort of an amicable interview, but Laura Ingraham really has the hot take on this. The woke mob canceled patriotism. Artistic freedom is dead. Once again, the woke mob was not in charge of this. This was being organized by this guy. So the woke mob has nothing to do with this. But let's take a look at what she has to say.
Lining up to perform for our country on our 250th. Now they're out dissing the big day, either due to pressure from the woke mob or because they just hate Trump more than they'll ever love America.
I don't think the woke mob even knew this was happening. Like, I don't even think the woke mob was aware of this.
No,
I wasn't aware of this.
Until this came up, I did not know about it.
I don't even think the woke mob knew this was going on. I didn't know it was going on until artists started dropping out. I thought they were just going to have a cage match.
You're
you
right,
know,
yeah,
a couple of roided out guys bite their ears off, and that's it. You know, we go home. God
I
bless
only
America.
vaguely heard about that.
Yeah, and I haven't even heard that much about that.
They just hate Trump more than they'll ever love America. A number of key acts that were set to perform on July 4th have now bowed out, all citing the same kind of lame excuse, variations of wording, that the Freedom 250 concert is somehow too divisive or too partisan. So Martina McBride, who've always liked her, the Commodores, loved them. Young MC, bust a move. More.
I always said the Commodores were some of the good ones. That was always my opinion about the Commodores. Yeah, I've always thought that about them. Not anymore.
I always considered them. They're like the Apollo Creeds of harmony bands. You know,
Exactly.
they're the good blacks.
Yeah,
I like those.
I like those.
First day, whatever. Even the uber patriotic Bret Michaels, he bowed out, claiming the concert has evolved into something much more divisive than what I agreed to be part of. Oh, come on, guys. You're better than that. All of them are better than this. You know, talk about poison.
Oh, wow. What a clever line.
Of course, industry rags like The Hollywood Reporter, they're ecstatic about the cancellations. They claim the acts dropped out because of political backlash, but look, they didn't have the guts to report the truth. The woke mob canceled patriotism when Donald Trump was first elected in 2016. Frankly, patriotism, red, white, and blue, a lot of American flags, it triggers them now. It's weird. So much for artistic freedom.
Right. If that were the case, they'd have never agreed to be a part of it in the first place. Like, obviously, they agreed to be part of the 250th anniversary of America, which means they were very comfortable with patriotism. Patriotism had not become so toxic thanks to the woke mob that they didn't agree to play. They did agree to play. Once they realized that, this was going to be basically, January 6th without the crowbars, they decided, you know what, it's probably not worth it. Probably not worth it. So this is what I have to explain to people like Laura Ingraham and people who watch her show and take this seriously. The reason this event is falling apart is very, very simple. No one likes you. No one wants anything to do with you. The cultural capital that you had after the 2024 victory has been all but completely squandered to the point where you can't even get anybody but people who, are washed up and past their prime. To show up in the first place.
Or just happy to get a gig that doesn't involve a bar mitzvah boy.
Exactly. And now even this event has become too toxic to the point where they have to cancel and turn down a paycheck. As Trump said, it seemed like these artists were being paid some big money to do this. And so that's what's going on here. That's what's going on here, is that no one likes you. No one wants to be publicly associated with you. Or your brand anymore. Now, more broadly speaking, I'm not going to read this article because I found it kind of like, I won't even say Libby. It's very, what was the show that Pat Buchanan used to have on TV once a week? What was that show?
I forgot the name of it.
Like that,
Oh no, hang on. He used to be on the McLaughlin Group.
The McLaughlin Group.
Did he have a show of his own?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It was the McLaughlin Group. I associate Pat Buchanan with that. Yeah, it's very McLaughlin Group, so it's very sappy and vapid and kind of stupid. But Russ has been making his version of this argument. Not to date you at all, but you remember you were a young kid, a very young kid. I'm not dating you that much. During the bicentennial. And you've noticed that there's just kind of a big difference between coverage of that and coverage of this. So I won't read this guy's opinion since I read a little bit of it and didn't care to share it because I think it's pretty vapid. But you were saying that when you were a kid, the bicentennial was this huge deal. And that was at a pretty, one point that this guy makes that's fair enough is, 1976 was not exactly 1955.
Right.
It was a pretty politically charged moment. Yeah, it was pretty divided.
Vietnam, we had just finally left Vietnam.
Exactly. So it's not like it was 1955, right? It was a pretty polarized, intense moment, but there was still, even at that moment, much more fanfare and even unity, it seems like, around the bicentennial than there is now.
It's very weird. Okay, sure, like I wound up growing up to do this. I was always like a little more interested in what was going on socioculturally than like a child should be. So my memories are very vivid, even though I was 6, of that whole year just being about the bicentennial. Like everything, man. Every magazine, any store you went into, there was merch. There were commemorative plates. There were paper plates with the 1776 on it. Like, I remember it vividly, how, like, everything was oriented around this bicentennial for that entire year. It's amazing that it is just completely off the radar. Like, I honestly, I don't really understand it. Like, I'm a little surprised that like corporations aren't trying to capitalize on it. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
in the bicentennial year, like every ad on TV was freaking George Washington trying to sell you a used car for the bicentennial.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was complete cultural saturation, wall to wall, for that entire year. And this, you don't even see an ad for some, Dodge. Hey, Dodge is doing its 250th anniversary. Honestly, no shit. The only thing I've seen is at Chase Bank. There's like a little sticker in the window, 250. Like, that is honestly, it's the only freaking thing I've seen. It's very weird. And with this, with his celebration, what I don't understand is you did get these like Hollywood celebrities who came out for him. Like, you can't get Stallone, you can't get John Voight, like you can't get these people, which actually I can't imagine they didn't try, which tells it, look, in the end, Hollywood
We can't even get the fish fucker guy from TPUSA. What about him? You can't get the fish fucker over there?
In the end, these Hollywood people are whores, and they're worried about making their brand toxic. It's all well and good when the MAGA thing had momentum for Stallone to go up there and speak for Trump. Is he going to do that now?
Right.
You're going to do that now? No. So I can't imagine they didn't reach out to these few celebrities. Nicki Minaj. Right. Supposedly all into them. I think the brand's gotten so toxic they couldn't get those people. Otherwise, it's inexplicable if they were having a show like this that they wouldn't have been asked.
Right.
Which means they declined. Right. And this was all they could get. You're right, man. Everyone hates them. Now, that doesn't explain why the 250th anniversary has been so unpromoted in all quarters of society. That's very weird. I mean, I guess it makes sense to me that you can't market that. It doesn't make sense to me that nobody tried. That's the part I don't get. I don't get that they didn't try to do big displays in stores thinking that they could move product with that. It's very weird.
Yeah, no, it is very strange. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that the MAGA brand has kind of collapsed. I mean, this administration.
Yeah, but they couldn't have tried to do like just, you're not making yourself MAGA trying to sell used cars by tying it to the 250th anniversary of America. That's not MAGA per se.
Not per se, but I don't know, man. I get the sense this country is pretty fucking depressed and down on itself. For understandable reasons.
Oh yeah, and that's why I don't think that kind of marketing would succeed.
Yeah,
but it has not been my experience that the kind of people who make those advertising decisions are the first to pick up on that.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean,
know what I mean? Like, how did they not try?
I guess they figure. I mean, look, you got to imagine that these brands invest, huge money in the kind of market research that steers their ad campaigns. And I think it is probably safe to assume at this point that the market research is telling them, hey, you know what? People are not really huge on the jingoism nowadays. And especially
not
when you
feeling
have an
it.
administration that is so eager to co-opt patriotism, right? Like anybody who really expresses this, jingoistic, love for the country is likely to be claimed by MAGA. I mean, people who
Right.
don't want to be claimed by MAGA get claimed by MAGA. They're putting Theo Vaughn's, face
Right,
in the
right,
deportation videos, and he says, "Hey, cut
Right.
it out." They put who's that country artist, Sabrina Carpenter. They use her music
Right,
in an
right,
ICE song.
right.
She's like, "Hey, stop!" So, I think there's risk of being tied to this administration if you even step a foot in that water, which is so amazing. Like they took the ultimate cultural victory over the wokesters and have completely squandered it to the point where now people are afraid to even say they love America because they're afraid of being tied to you guys. It's not that they don't love
Right,
America. I know
right.
plenty of people who like America, but they don't want to be associated with you fucking crackpots. And I think that's kind of what has happened. Like they have really turned the biggest cultural W in half a century into the biggest L in a year and a half. I mean, that's the only explanation. Because you think, I mean, you're right. Like, why the hell aren't you seeing any marketing about the 250th anniversary? That has to be why. These companies aren't just guessing. They invest
Right.
tons of money
Sure.
in ad campaigns and research before they put together ad campaigns. I mean, huge amounts of a company's budget go toward advertising. They spend ungodly amounts of money on commercials and these things. And you're not seeing any of that. Not seeing any of that now.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I mean, 1976, yeah, people were down with Watergate and Vietnam, but you're still not far from the 50s, man. Like 1976, you're only 16 years from the end of the 50s. Like
Right.
cultures don't shift that much overnight.
Right.
There was still enough of that left over that the bicentennial was going to be a big deal. And at this point, all that's just gone. There's just nothing to drive it. And yeah, and I guess you're right. They must have done the market research and said, yeah, that's a loser.
That's not good. Let's just stick with the free coffee in the lobby and hope to get them in the door that way.
That's it.
Maybe we'll put them in a car today.
0% financing.
Yeah, stick with the basic 0% financing, free coffee. There you go. All right, let's take some super chats and some Rumble rants. Nocturnal Humans is 250 years, a fart in the wind of history. I can't wait for this empire to blow away. Empires end, people move on. People do move on. That's right, Nocturnal Human. Vienticus Prime says everything's a scam, everything's a lie, everything's hypocrisy, and so you don't comply. Thanks, Vienticus. I have all your stuff ready. I know we were going to start this week, but given the day show, I think you'll get more mileage out of the ad if we do it next week, since we'll be at our regular time. So I'm going to delay it for your benefit. All right, don't worry. I'm looking out for you. Okay, so stay tuned. George, early show. Wow, this is so awesome for me. But of course, that means bad news is on the way. Maybe I'm totally fucked. Why do you say that? I hope that's why you're on early, to give me a heads up or a head start. We have no inside knowledge of anything, George. We are the last people who would have such a thing. Me Shoot Skeet, thanks for the super sticker. Appreciate that very much. Me Shoot Skeet, thank you. Furrow Squeen Fire Dancer says, Keaton, if Dave Matthews' Crash is not on your 1996 list, I will absolutely lose my shit. I'm going to see Alanis in July, but I wouldn't have bought a ticket if I knew she was a Zionist. Is she a Zionist? I didn't know that.
Is she? Really?
Yeah, did not know that at all. And Dave gets a mention. I'll say he gets a mention on the list. So, he is featured in the video somewhat. When it comes to Dave, I like the live albums so much better. I hardly listen to the studio albums. So, those to me are not like some of my favorites because the live stuff, they're just so much better on stage. But their third album is really good. That has a chance to rank, actually. I think you'll be satisfied. For Earl Queen. French Laundry, thanks for the super sticker. Appreciate that. Danny, Russ, your Knicks made it to the finals. Russ's Knicks, man. If they're anybody's Knicks, they're my Knicks, and they're not my Knicks. I'm not a huge basketball fan, but hell yeah, Knicks are in the finals. And
Yeah, you're talking to the wrong guy.
San Antonio Spurs made it. I'm glad the Spurs made it. Oklahoma City is just
I mean, this
not a
just
vibe
shows,
at all.
This shows, man. If you're rich for a long time, like Will Chamberlain, you can pay for rejuvenation treatments, and you can bring your team to the finals.
Exactly.
I'm not going to celebrate some rich vampire getting blood replacement transfusions like the Rolling Stones. leading the Knicks to the finals. Fuck that.
That's right. That's right. That's Russ's hot take on the Knicks. No, obviously, go Knicks. I'm glad the Spurs made it too. The
Why do
Oklahoma
homeless people
City,
disappear every time Wilt Chamberlain's in town?
Yeah. So no, Russ is not feeling Knicks fever, but I kind of am. I'm excited for the Knicks. So Vicious, I'm all for a fighting ring on the White House lawn. It's politicians and lobbyists fighting to the death, right? Yeah, 2 tools enter, 1 tool leaves for prison. That's right. It's funny about the Knicks. When it just comes to it's amazing how lousy a sports town New York is. I mean, aside from the Yankees, who have not been great this century, only one title in the last 25 years, 26 years. New York, you would think a huge market with all this money to spend on sports, you'd think they'd be much more competitive. But no. These small towns in the middle of the country have better sports teams than New York. So
it was interesting when I lived
championship.
When I lived in Chicago and I was working in the theater there, the theaters would be empty on nights that the Bulls played, and that was a culture shock for me because that's not the same crowd in New York.
Right.
Like that, you would never have theaters empty because a sports team is playing in New York City.
Right. Brad Gilbert, Vanilla is a home renovator now. Ballroom contract. Yeah, that's right. I'll play in the ballroom. Give me a gig in that ballroom. I'll do an unplugged set in the new ballroom. John Olmstead, thanks for the $2. You see the NDAA yep, we're right there with you. We got that on the schedule for today, my friend. We will get to it. Hating on Alanis Morissette, unsub. Well, now she's a Zionist. I don't know.
I didn't even know she was doing Morissette.
I mean, maybe she's not. Maybe she just likes Israel for love of the game.
Like Helen Moran.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate her. I just don't like her voice. It's just a subjective thing. I'm not saying she's a bad artist. I just, some people's singing voices just kind of rub you the wrong way. It's not
has she had a hit since that album?
I don't know. I
don't think she's ever had a song that broke out since that album.
Since then, yeah.
It was that one album.
Yeah. Yep. That was a Zeitgeist album for sure. EO Shush. Nothing encapsulates America more than having backyard fights on the White House lawn. That's right. Burr Hunk says, love from Bahrain. Fam and I are finally planning a trip far east and are mostly interested in Vietnam, Singapore, and Thailand. Any good destinations you recommend for the family, Russ?
I mean,
for the family. So no massacre sites, for kids, right?
For kids.
Yeah, for kids. Yeah.
Well, Da Nang is a nice beach area. I don't know, for kids, if you're not looking to do intense history or culture, I would say Da Nang. And if you go into Thailand, Chiang Mai is really nice. Definitely go to the night market. That food is freaking amazing over there. Nice. Look up the cowboy hat lady.
All right. There you go. That's an insider tip if ever I heard one. I remember celebrating.
Well, Bourdain featured her. When he went to
okay, cool. Oh, awesome. Jody 916. I remember celebrating the 200th anniversary in 1976. It was local communities building floats and drinking beer together. That's what the people need, not more politics and division. I agree, actually. And I mean, you know what? I do agree. It's just that this administration is so imposing that they have made patriotism toxic because they lean so heavily into it. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Comrade Cranky, 500-year-old white empire is dying. That's right. P. Walker, with names like those, did anyone even notice they dropped from the... That's what I mean. That's what I said. I said the woke mob didn't even notice what's going on. The woke mob wouldn't have canceled this. It was under their radar.
Millie, I didn't even know Millie Vanilli sang. Wasn't that the whole thing?
Yeah.
They didn't?
I didn't even know they were alive. I didn't even know he was still around.
Who knew?
Yeah, who the hell knew? All right, why don't we move right on along here? We got 1,813 in the YouTube chat, 494 in the like column. Let's smash that like button a little harder, please, and thank you very much. And we got 404 over on Rumble.
All right. So hey, we just got this from the New York Times, hot off the presses. Those crackerjack journalists at the New York Times. Platner's texts with women concerned campaign as Senate race took off. Now, normally I would do the reveal later, but I feel like this whole thing is kind of important context. So this is Mike from PA. The New York Times journalist who wrote this hit piece and a number of other hit pieces on Platner was co-president of her Students for Israel chapter in college. Every single time, as they say. Every single time. Disclosure. Katie Gluck is a co-president of Students for Israel. This was at Northwestern University. You can see Katie Gluck's byline there. Yeah, so that's who's writing this. Graham Platner's insurgent bid for Senate in Maine was gathering steam last summer when his campaign was confronted with some potentially explosive information. Mr. Platner's wife, Amy Gertner, told a senior campaign aide that he had been exchanging sexual messages with multiple other women. Graham Platner, what are you wearing? Mr. Platner's exchanges with women were confirmed by current and former campaign officials who gave different accounts of some of the details. Ms. Gertner said the couple, who had married in November 2023, according to the town clerk of Sullivan, Maine, was working through his indiscretions in marriage counseling. Sometimes my little panzer just likes to storm her Dunkirk. What can I tell you? Genevieve McDonald, a former state legislator who was the Platner campaign's political director before leaving in October, said Miss Gertner reached out just days before a big Labor Day rally with Senator Bernie Sanders, independent of Vermont, and was concerned her husband's behavior could become a political liability. Ms. McDonald said Ms. Gertner told her that her husband had been exchanging sexual messages with as many as a dozen women. A current Platner campaign official said Mr. Platner had been communicating with up to 6 women. The conduct had stopped, the official said, before the campaign launched. The current official said that the messages surfaced when Ms. McDonald asked Ms. Gertner if there was anything she wanted to share amid an internal vetting process. Ms. Gertner told the campaign that the couple had dealt with the issue in counseling, according to the official. The revelation threatened to add to Democratic anxieties about the state of the Maine race. Oh, what kind of anxieties? You mean the ones where Platner is leading by 9 points?
Yeah.
Or the anxieties where you have an anti-Israel senator? Those anxieties. No. They're not going to mention that in the article, which the party sees as critical to its chances of winning control of the Senate in November. In a statement released by the campaign, Ms. Gertner suggested that she had been betrayed by Ms. McDonald, saying she was deeply hurt and bothered by the invasion of our privacy. Yeah, hey, man, those of you who are old enough, you might remember who this is. Keaton, do you know who that is?
I saw this in the slideshow before.
But you forgot?
I forgot. Yeah, it
all
rings
right.
a bell. I'm going to know it when you say it.
All right, so this miserable cousinette looking twat is Linda Tripp.
That's right, Linda Tripp.
That is Linda Tripp, who betrayed the confidence of then 21-year-old Monica Lewinsky.
That's right. She's in the movie,
by telling investigators what was told her in confidence about her relationship with Bill Clinton. This is a woman who should never work again, but of course, she was probably put up to this by the Democratic Party, because if you ever wanted to work again, this is one of those things where, like, if you're one of the people who vets for a Democratic candidate, that's like a Hippocratic oath, right? That's like a psychiatrist or a doctor. You can't betray the confidence, and she's doing it openly with her name on it, not even anonymously. What a disgusting pig of a fucking woman. What a pig. If this pig ever works for a Democrat again, I don't care who it is, man. Like, I'm gonna keep half an eye on that. If this pig ever works again, I don't care who she works for. I am going to personally make it my business to draw attention to that candidate as a candidate you should not vote for. I don't care. I don't care if they're running against Scott Bessent. I'll support Scott Bessent over anyone who hires this fucking pig of a woman who betrayed her confidence like that. That is disgusting.
It's funny.
No, really. I mean, that's you're trusted with that
No, I know.
position.
I know.
She got put up to this by somebody.
Yeah. No, I know.
So this is Graham Platner here. A message from my wife, Amy. She's been through a lot.
It's Amy. I wanted to make a statement today, and sorry, I'm getting eaten by bugs. I wanted to make a statement today in response to a couple of news articles that are out there about my marriage to Graham. If anybody knows me and Graham personally, you know that we got married in 2023. We live in Sullivan. We've got 2 dogs, and we love each other deeply. So it makes me really angry, disappointed, and I find it really shameful that there's a group of media outlets and people who are willing to spread gossip instead of talking about real issues that Graham is running on, like healthcare and education and childcare. I'm walking up and down my road right now, and this is like my 20th take. This is very hard to do, but I just really wanted to make sure that everyone knows that Graham and I have a great marriage. Being married is hard. Being newly married is hard. Being newly married and going through infertility is hard. Being newly married, going through infertility, and a Senate campaign is hard. I don't even know if I have the right words to describe what we've been going through, but our marriage counselor helps. My personal counselor helps. Graham's personal counselor helps. And we work on our mental health every day. No marriage is perfect, and I don't want a perfect marriage. I want my marriage, and I want to be married to Graham. Sorry, black flies. I knew the man that I married is wonderful and dynamic and probably a genius. I knew the man.
He had a swastika tattoo on his taint. Oh, sorry. Was I not supposed to say that? Oh, sorry. All right, cut. Let's take it again.
All right, another take. Take 21.
Take 21. All right, let's go. Let's take it from the top. Okay, we don't have to. Okay.
Man that I married had been through an immense amount of violent, active combat, and he's been in therapy for years. I admire the fuck out of him. So when there are news articles about our marriage, it's just extra shitty. Can I say that online? I hope I can. It's extra shitty because people in Maine want affordable gas. They want to be able to see their doctor when they're sick. They want to be able to send their kids to a nice school, a nice daycare facility, and raise families the way that they want to. So I think I'm feeling angry today. And I don't normally make public statements, but it's really important for me to tell all of you out there, especially people who are voting in Maine, that I think it's shameful behavior to spend time and energy and resources on negative ads and negative stories on Graham when all he's trying to do is improve the lives of people who work for a living.
All right, so she goes on another couple minutes. You get the idea. So this is, you got a bipartisan pile on here from both MAGA grifters and DNC grifters. So Laura Loomer here. In this video, I learned that Graham Platner and his wife have been married since 2023. And not only do they have a marriage counselor, but they each have their own individual therapists as well. So 3 therapists to help one couple stay together and deal with their mental health, as his wife puts it. If you need 3 therapists to cope with day-to-day life, you should not be in the U.S. Senate. Insane. All right, so it's really funny that you got, we did a story about how Ashley Sinclair is coming out and talking about how all these people who pose as moral, they're all just degenerate, libertine, hedonists, fucking women, men cheating on their spouses. So here's Laura Loomer. So the kind of slut bag that'll go, oh no, I love your girlfriend, while they're trying to fuck the guy. That's basically what she's doing here. I mean, you be the judge.
Anyway, next time you're in New York, let me know. We'll hang out. Bring your girlfriend to New York sometime, and we'll all hang out. We'll go to like really cool restaurants and hang out, and we'll have a blast.
Yes, I will bring my girlfriend.
Yeah, I want to meet. What's Becca?
Yeah.
Becca.
Yes.
She's so sweet.
You remember?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, you'll meet her.
You guys are so sweet. I hope it works out because like I said,
sure.
I know it's all an act. Like I know everything you do on Twitter is like so fake and not real, but
Yeah,
like
it's all fake.
it's so sweet that you like and your
That makes all
girlfriend
of
have been
us.
together for 3 years. I love it.
I know.
It's
so
one
many,
to know one.
do you know something? Like I'm gonna tell you a secret. Like, do you know so many people in this movement who preach trad life are like fucking people on the side and like cheating on their partners? They're not even like really trad life.
such
Like
scum.
like my ex is like dating somebody who's like super trad life, and she was like fucking my boyfriend while we were dating.
Wow, look
and
at
like
that.
ruined our
Straight
relationship.
from the horse's
and I
mouth.
act like it's okay, but like it's really sad because like I love when people like keep tradition in their relationships. It's just really sad.
Very important. Wow, I didn't realize she
No,
actually
that's
said
really
that.
appropriate with the guy with the girlfriend. Yeah, before that, she talked about how the Nazis hate her because she's got great tits and an Ashkenazi brain. Earlier in the clip,
That would create a conundrum. To be fair,
Laura Loomer should really be opining about people's marriage. I can't believe she's single. Can't believe she's single.
I don't know if she is single. I think she's. I think now she's taken.
She's married? She's not married.
I think she's engaged or something. I don't know.
Is she? Yeah. To who?
Yeah.
Billy the puppet from Jigsaw?
Yeah, someday.
She finally met her match. So yeah, on the other
There
side.
goes that dream.
Yeah. Well, hey. You never know, man. You never know. Sometimes you get these people who like they've been crushing on each other since high school. They don't get together until like they meet in the nursing home later.
Hey.
Then they finally make it work. All right. So on the Democrat side, here is she was I think chief of staff for Mario Cuomo, paragon of virtue. Mario Cuomo here.
No, absolutely. I mean, the main race really demonstrates the civil war that's happening within the Democratic Party. And there are a lot of Democrats, moderate Democrats like myself, who will not cry tears should we lose Maine. I mean, that would be a pickup to begin with. But
Oh yeah, we got Senate seats to spare. Yeah, we're doing fine over here. Yeah, no, Democratic Party.
Okay,
hey, we lose
yeah.
one. All right, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, remember, these are the same Democrats telling you what an existential threat Donald Trump and his agenda are and how they have to take back the Senate and the House in order to stop his agenda, stop him from destroying the country. Man, there's a Democrat running in Maine who does not match my bland corporate neoliberal preferred style of governance. So, I'm not going to cry any tears if we don't take back the Senate.
I mean, it's just one seat. We have 47 seats. I mean, they have 53, which makes our 47 kind of meaningless. But, it's all right. It's just one seat, whatever.
And this was Jill Biden's press secretary, Michael LaRosa, also talking about how, Graham Platner doesn't represent him.
At some of the Democrats who I consider friends being so all or nothing about this guy. And I don't really understand why. He is not really representative of the values I would expect in a Democratic candidate, even by today's standards. I'm a little surprised at the number of people who are circling the wagons just to beat Susan Collins. And I get it. Like, I want the Senate seat. I want Democrats to win. I want Chuck Schumer to be the majority leader. but I'm not willing to take anybody off the street and run them just because they, arouse some vibes in a few, portions of the Democratic Party.
Like poor people.
That's just not for me. And
just not for
I'm
me.
good. I
don't
don't
like poor
need to
people.
support a Democrat who has Nazi tattoos.
I have plenty
that's
of
not
money.
my thing. I'm not going to. So
I mean,
have
when
money,
you're
I'll be
when you're
okay.
talking about Democrats who say that poor people are just as smart as white people, or when they say they don't want their kids growing up in a racial jungle, when you're talking about candidates who pass a crime bill that they brag will do everything but hang you for jaywalking, that mostly affects black and brown people. When you got a guy who partners with segregationists to write these kinds of Jim Crow crime bills, I can get behind that. But a guy with a tattoo that he denies was a Nazi tattoo, well, that's a bridge too far. That's a bridge too far, dude. It is all about Israel. It's all about Israel. That's it, man. His progressive positions, they're used to that at this point. They figure they'll beat that out of them when they get there, like they did with everybody with AOC, right? But that shit, no, they can't have it.
No,
They
you
can't have
show.
it.
It's funny, you show Laura Loomer, and you're like, how do those people get so close to power? And then you show these two, and you're like, oh, that's how.
That's how.
That's how.
That's how.
'Cause
Right.
These people are worse. They're more
Right.
repulsive. They're, to me, like my feet curl in anger when I watch this guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't really need to pick anybody off the street. I have enough money to, be okay no matter what. And, just because he appeals to a certain subset of the population, like, workers who don't have enough money to pay the rent.
And since we're stopped, there's what they always do. They try to portray, even though they are fringe, they're able to present themselves as mainstream because the money that's behind them puts them in positions of power. But they are fringe relative to the population. There you go. Look at that. Main polling was, before Mills dropped out, 64-29. So who's fringe?
Yeah.
Who's fringe? Who is a subset? Who's an actual subset? Janet Mills, -14, Graham Platner, +4. Susan Collins, -19. So you're a subset. You're a subset, but the money is behind you because you're not a threat to the money. So you present yourself as mainstream because people like this were always in positions of power because they don't threaten power.
Right.
Like, do I want Susan Collins to win? Not necessarily, but she's much more my style than somebody like who I consider kind of a performative economic populist like Graham Platner.
You like the real economic
who went to
populist.
Hotchkiss,
like Joe Biden.
Yeah, give you the genuine article.
Another high school that I couldn't afford. Another private prep school that my family certainly couldn't afford. So it's kind of odd to hear him talk about the elite when he was educated by the most elite of New England prep schools. And that shouldn't disqualify him either. It's his own behavior that disqualifies him. It's his own history of rhetoric, of advocating for political violence, of mocking wounded U.S. soldiers shot by the Taliban. All of that stuff. It's just not worth it for me as a Democrat. Like, we could do better. We should want better in our candidates. We don't need candidates like that in our party.
Okay. All right. Again, this is a guy who was the press secretary for a first lady under a president who said some of the most hair-raisingly racist shit. And I have argued this again and again. I have never had the most partisan Democrat able to argue against me. Joe Biden did more damage to black and brown people than any living Democrat, including Bill Clinton.
Right.
Nobody has been able to argue otherwise to me with any kind of facts. You name one living Democrat, one living politician, forget about Democrat, who has done more damage to those communities than Joe Biden. That was okay for you. But Graham
Yeah.
Platner's a bridge too far.
And when has Graham Platner advocated for political violence? I've never heard that.
I know. These people lie so much. It's hard to keep track of what lie you need to debunk now with them, and we usually don't bother with we don't fuck with these Democrats. Matt Taibbi took this tack too, because Matt Taibbi went to similar kind of prep school in New England. He had a similar kind of background. He wrote a whole article about how, he basically is Graham Platner. He also, well, I don't think he went into the Marine Corps. I still don't really understand that, why a guy from that background went into the Marines. I mean, it's kind of unusual.
I mean, he
But,
seems like a bit of a, seems like a bit of a screwy guy, to be fair.
Yeah,
I mean, I hope he
to be
wins,
fair.
but, seems like a little screwy.
Yeah, a little unusual.
Yeah.
These guys love to wrap themselves up in the ghost of FDR. I mean, there's not a fucking establishment Democrat in the world that does not like to hide behind FDR. It doesn't get more patrician than that. You want to talk about old money? These guys were old Dutch money. These guys went back to the Dutch settlers of New Amsterdam, the Roosevelts. That's a Dutch name. They were an old Dutch money family. So that's not an argument either way. The ex-Platner aide is Andrew Perez. The ex-Platner aide who publicly leaked this stuff, this miserable twat, leaked this stuff to the New York Times, is pulling down $9,000 a month from Jordan Wood, a Maine District 2 Democratic candidate who has endorsed Platner. The Democrats, an incredible political party. And then he went on, Jordan Wood's campaign tells me Genevieve McDonald is no longer employed or contracted with the campaign as of this morning. The campaign adds she resigned voluntarily. McDonald confirmed she voluntarily resigned today. Yeah, she got a payoff, man. Somebody paid her to go to the New York Times with this. Like, none of this tracks. Doesn't make sense. Like, you're trying to work as a political operative, you're getting paid that much, and like, yeah, she got promised more than what she was getting with this campaign. And then, this is where we're in a scary new world, man, because I was looking for the Wall Street Journal article. I assume this was real. So here, you got a bot, posing as like a real person with qualms. Jackson, I'm not Susan Collins fan, but you got to improve the large language model there. I'm not Susan Collins fan, but we better get behind her and save that Republican seat in Maine from this psycho, don't you think? Yeah, that's very authentic. So they share out this Wall Street Journal thing, and you saw it, this was everywhere. And it's supposedly a screenshot from the article. In one message seen by the Wall Street Journal, Platner refers to his penis as mein Führer. There's like a tweet this fucking guy would write, and asked the woman if she would like for Platner to blitzkrieg that ass.
So that's a fake thing, right?
Turns out it is fake.
Oh, that's funny.
It is fake. But that was all over X.
Of course.
And it looks plausible when you see it, right? They made it look exactly like if you're sharing out a part of the article, but no, it's fake.
Oh, they
and
could
you're
have
gonna
a
see,
field day with that. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go.
You're
You could do
gonna
all kinds of shit.
Oh yeah. Well, you're going to see this everywhere. The closer you get into election season, it's the first time I've really seen something like that. But you're going to see it. It's not going to be the last. That's for sure.
Platner had rough sex with a Jewish woman and then told her, "I call that globalizing the Intifada." You can just make up anything you want.
Once released flatulence into a Jewish woman's face, then laughed and said, "I'm gassing you."
Yeah. I mean, you can just if you just make shit up and have it go viral, you can do whatever you want. It's gonna be a fun October. A lot of October surprises this year. I have a feeling. A lot of AI October surprises.
Get under the blankets. I'm gonna fart and gas you, bitch. Yeah, that's my concentration camp down there.
Yeah.
Fred Aiken, the great John Schwartz's explanation for how the Democratic Party works is undefeated. The people who control institutions care first and foremost about their power within the institution rather than the power of the institution itself. Exactly. Thus, they would rather the institution fall while they remain in power within the institution than for the institution to succeed if that requires them to lose power within the institution. Exactly. Exactly. That's why the Democratic Party is unreformable. That's why they won't reform. That's why they didn't do a real autopsy, because they don't really care why they lost. You think none of them understood that Bernie might have had a better chance at Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton did? But under a Sanders regime, they would have lost power. For them, it's a non-starter. It's a non-starter. He would have brought in his own people. This is not to sing the praises of Sanders, but that's just a fact. He had a different crew around him that was not drawn from the traditional consultant class, and those people naturally would have ridden his coattails into power. And what would have happened to them? They would have been displaced and dislodged by this new guard. That's all that matters for them. It's not who has the best chance of winning. It's who has the best chance of giving them a gig.
Right.
Few responses. This was a good meme. Cheating is bad, the New York Times with Graham Platner's picture, and then cheating is good. If you remember, they endorsed Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo, this is the, how many Me Too articles came out of the New York Times?
Dude, half the government's in the Epstein files. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, you're going to, like, we're still doing this? We still care about sexting and shit like that?
Of course. And this is pretty damn mild as sex scandals go. He sexted some people.
It's a virtual affair.
And they worked it out, and they went to therapy about it before he ever launched his campaign.
Yeah.
It's not even like this happened while he was campaigning, like he was doing this with staffers. It's not even like an ethics breach like that. You're talking about a completely personal, private matter between this guy and his wife.
I mean, I'm a monogamous man. I'm a family man, of course. I don't condone it. But is this disqualifying in 2026? Like, are you kidding me? Like, are you fucking kidding me? It's unbelievable. I mean, like, and I mean, this is the RFK Nuzzy thing. That's it. You know, they never did anything either beyond that. That's what America needs. America needs a digital throuple between Olivia Nuzzy, Graham Platner. Graham Platner here. What? Who is this?
I'm taking them out. No, you had them out last time. You know I like them out. No, all right, I'll take the ass. Fine, I'll take that. You take the ass this time. I'll get it next time.
Did you have your meningitis shot? If you had your meningitis shot, I'm not sharing with you this week.
So the seditionists. I speak for all Americans when I say we do not care. Yeah, I think that's probably what most Americans think. It was pretty funny from Ken Klippenstein. I didn't know he had this kind of sense of humor. Neither Susan Collins nor Janet Mills would ever have a sexting scandal. Why? Because they have integrity.
That's right.
The picture speaks for itself.
That's right.
For the podcast listeners, you're going to kind of have to look up that tweet to,
you need the visual aid.
To appreciate it. You need the visual. Mr. Keaton Weiss, after this past year, Graham Platner could shit in Michelle Obama's mouth and still win.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
We will see if he could do the Dubai porta potty on Michelle.
Not that he should.
Still win.
That is not advice.
No,
we don't want to.
That's not campaign advice.
Not campaign advice. With 3 weeks from now, Graham Platner here. A few weeks ago, I saw what seemed to be genuine advice from a couple of supportive podcasters, and I acted on it without thinking, and I apologize. I apologize to Michelle. I apologize
to run into Michelle at the vineyard. And in my drunken stupor, I convinced myself she wanted it.
Yeah. I want to apologize to the former president who served honorably and with dignity. He did not deserve to have his wife's mouth shat in by a Marine with a Nazi tattoo.
I don't understand why he was beating the bishop in the corner. That was part of the reason I thought that my advances were welcome.
Yeah.
But that's something that they'll have to work out in counseling, as I have with my own wife.
Yeah.
I wish them the best.
I wish them the best.
Mel, at this point, I'm convinced that Platner was offered a deal he wouldn't take, and that's why the Uniparty is so obsessed with him. They simply cannot allow an actual dissident into the Senate, not as long as the filibuster still exists. Yeah, man. I mean, this is an example of like, look, man, I can't see myself, never say never. I can't see myself ever getting involved in a Democratic campaign or Democratic fundraising ever again because of what they're doing to him. Like, even if you believe in the candidate, I don't believe in the party. I don't believe in what they're going to do to you. But she's right. The fact that he's getting it like this from both sides, you know, you do, and a lot of our people call it out rightly, when you see them not go berserk about somebody, you know the fix is in. Like, if you see somebody going up and saying all the right things and Jen Psaki is not ripping them a new one, like with AOC, you notice how their whole tone and attitude towards her changed. Yeah, man, they got to her. They got to her. I don't buy that they always had her, because they wouldn't have treated her the way they used to treat her if they always had a deal with her. I believe that moment with the Iron Dome vote broke her. She was never the same after that vote. Whatever Pelosi said to her about where her nephews live or whatever the fuck she said in her ear that made her cry, it broke her. She was never the same after that. The fact that they're coming at this guy like this means, at least for now, he means it. If he on the side was saying, "Oh yeah, don't worry, I love Israel. I'm a big supporter. Just let me get in there. I'm gonna vote the way you want to vote." They wouldn't be doing this to him. They love to get behind fake populists to pretend that that's what they are.
Yeah. Well, if you notice, they made a little bit of a stink about Fetterman when he was running in his primary in 2022. But once he won the nomination, they kind of just left him alone and let him win, even though I'm shocked that he won because, I mean, he sounded like a vegetable at the debate. But, you know, he's running against Dr. Oz. He's running against the literal vegetable candidate. The crudité guy. Yes, the literal vegetable candidate. So I guess he eked out a victory, but you know, they didn't go after Fetterman. Like they fretted about Fetterman until he won the nomination. But once he won the nomination, they kind of laid off. Why?
Right.
Well, now we know why, because he's a staunchly pro-Israel. Right. So, all right, fine. You're going to talk your shit about whatever, healthcare, wages, whatever. He obviously doesn't mean any of that either. But they knew he was pro-Israel. So, all right, fine. You know, what's the big deal? You know, but no, the way they went after Mamdani, even after he became the nominee, and the way they are now escalating against Platner after he essentially became the nominee now because Mills has dropped out. So he is the de facto nominee as of right now. There's no way he could be beaten in the primary. Nobody's running who has any chance. So now they're escalating against him, going to the point of saying in a year where, like, I mean, you could not have scripted this any better if your intention was to show people how imperative it is that, you know, Democrats win these midterms, because you're talking about just a runaway agenda of insanity. And yet you're coming out here saying, well, you know, it's just one seat. I mean, whatever. I mean, I'd rather win it, but if we lose it, like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, I'm not a Democrat, and I can sense the stakes being higher than you, because it's, at a certain level, it's a uniparty. At a certain level, it's, okay, these ideas are acceptable, and these ideas are not. And it's obvious, as you said in the segment, it's so obvious that Israel is the thing. It's obvious. The ones who bend the knee get left alone. The ones who don't get either run out of town or undermined at every turn. Or worse, God forbid. Right. Yeah, I mean, that's just so clearly the deciding factor for people at a certain place within the power structure.
At this point, they've come to accept Bernie style rhetoric because I think they've realized the system is so broken, you're not getting any of that shit anyway.
Right.
So they'll let that go. At the time that Sanders was running, this is what we were all concerned about, that if he actually won the nomination, they would sabotage him. Because you had people like Donnie Deutsch coming out and being like, well, I'd have to vote for Trump.
Yep.
right? Like we always do. Like, are they really going to give him the support that they would normally give a nominee, or are they going to sabotage him? Because for what we read earlier, like they care more about holding institutional power than they care about winning elections. Now I think they've moved on the economic stuff, not because they support it more, but because now they have some practice with having people like Bernie running around
Right.
screaming about billionaires, and it hasn't done a damn thing.
Right.
So they're not as threatened by that rhetoric as they were.
Right.
They're realizing they can contain that, but being anti-Israel, that's nope, can't do that. And I think that's partly because the public is so overwhelmingly against Israel, they just cannot allow any kind of debate about it. You got enough broken-brained peasants who are going to go, you want better health care? Well, maybe privatize everything. And then, you got enough of that shit out there that they can manipulate the public out of actually unifying. With Israel, that's different, man. That is bipartisan, overwhelming majority of the public agrees. Independents overwhelmingly, Democrats overwhelmingly, Republicans not overwhelmingly, but what is it, about 48%?
It's getting close, and among younger Republicans, the sentiment against Israel is fairly overwhelming amongst the younger ones. And so, this is not likely to happen anytime within the next couple years, or maybe even the next couple cycles. But you start populating the Senate with characters like Graham Platner on the Democrat side and, say, Thomas Massie or Marjorie Taylor Greene on the other side. Down the road, there is a possibility that, hey, why don't we have a cross-partisan unity ticket around certain principles, including no more funding to Israel? Well, all of a sudden that becomes a real problem because that's an overwhelmingly popular ticket, right? And they need to nip that in the bud, right?
Which, as we'll see in my second segment, they're anticipating this and they're taking steps to make it impossible to disentangle from Israel.
Right. Exactly. All right, we'll move right on along here. Before we do, just a quick word from Rumble Wallet. So, just a quick question for everybody. How much control do you actually have over your money right now? The economy is not what it used to be. It is changing in a changing world, and Rumble is on the cutting edge. Introducing now Rumble Wallet, which takes all the complexity of the new economy and makes it super simple. So when you sign up for Rumble Wallet, what you can do by scanning the QR code or going to wallet.rumble.com. It's right up there on the screen. You can choose what you want. There's Bitcoin, there's dollar-backed stable coins, there's even digital gold backed by real gold. There's no complicated setup. It's super user-friendly, super streamlined, super easy. It connects with MoonPay, so you can use your credit card, your debit card, or your bank account. And you can be up and running on Rumble Wallet in just minutes. And once you're set up, this is the real cool part, you can even support your favorite Rumble creators like us directly. When you send us Rumble rants through your Rumble Wallet, we keep all of the Rumble rants. We keep nearly 100% of what you send us. The platform takes zero fees. So do this now. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description and the chat and download the Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and then you're in the game. So in just a few minutes, you can get set up on Rumble Wallet and support your favorite creators and help grow the free speech creator economy here on the internet. That's wallet.rumble.com. QR code is right up on the screen. Scan that now and get up and running in minutes. Once you do, sending Rumble rants through the Rumble Wallet, super easy, just as easy as sending them any other way. That's wallet.rumble.com. Okay. Let's move right on along. You want to take some chats?
All right. Brant Lebowski. Norm's concern should be liberal Zionists looking the other way when Biden funds Ukraine Nazis, when Trump support white nationalism. As long as both parties support Israel, all is good. Security of Jews is secondary for Zionists. Well, if anything, they want Jews not to feel safe anywhere. Ken Minji, Bicentennial, always remind me of Altman's Nashville. which had a cynical edge. Yeah, it's kind of like a lost classic, Nashville. Topher, you could also see Florida at your local casino.
It's Flo Rida. That's the rapper. That's
Flo
the
Rida.
Flo Rida at your local casino. Yeah, I'm sure you can.
Captain Spacehawk, my mom's school had its bicentennial a few years ago. They made a book and everything, did they? Vienticus Prime, when it comes to the state of the country and people who want to say we live in Orwellian times, I've taken any more to instead say that we live in Ozymandian times. Yeah, you could definitely say that. Vito P, $50.
Oh, let's have a cowbell or prayer bell. My apologies. I keep saying cowbell.
Trump's VFT handlers was excellent. You are right. Few people read books today. U.S. healthcare sucks. You all rock.
I forgot to clip that. I meant to clip that this morning. Oh, well. I'll do it tomorrow.
Clipped it, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot.
Anticus Prime. Well, if you're going to delay it for my benefit, are you going to have it ribbed for my pleasure too?
Yeah. We'll have it. Yeah, we will have it all set up for your play. Well, what you can also do is send us a link to purchase the book. I mean, I know there are a couple out there, but send us the one that you'd like people to use. Just email it to us.
Heavy Snack. Doug Burgum is Dracula, and I'm tired of everyone pretending not to notice it.
Yeah, he does kind of look.
He has a little bit of that. Not as much as Count Morlock did.
Morlock was, yeah.
Kevin G. Alanis Morissette has never commented publicly about Israel, but has performed in Israel many times despite BDS pressure. But Haley Steinfeld is definitely a Zionist. Has anyone looked this up? Is she Jewish? Is Alanis Morissette actually Jewish?
I don't know.
That's like a pretty Canadian, like Scottish kind of a name, right? Jim Talib. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Mark Pugliese. Hey, Russ. I grew up in Hawthorne, New Jersey. Graduated Hawthorne High in 1974. Instead of going through the 50s, 60s, and 70s, Hawthorne just did the 50s 3 times. Yeah, some places are like that. In the 70s, it was like sitcom Happy Days. Yeah, some parts of the country are like that, I have found. I don't know if that's as true now as it used to be. Dean W. I'm a bicentennial baby, and it seemed like a big deal, but now I'm turning 50 on the same day as Trump's birthday, and I need to celebrate my day out in the woods somewhere with no Wi-Fi. Yeah, that sounds nice. John from Minnesota, Keaton Boomer here, still stuck on 90s indie rock. Can barely read the writing on my old CDs, but a quick rifle has Ash, Bush, Sublime, and Rage for 96. Looking forward to your picks.
Thank you. One of those gets a mention on there.
Yo, shush. As a lifelong Sonics fan, it's been great to see the country hate OKC as much as Sonics fans do.
Yeah, that's because the Seattle Supersonics became the Oklahoma City Thunder. They stole their team, which, yeah, I figure. I mean, I don't understand why Seattle couldn't maintain a team, and Oklahoma City can. I mean, Seattle's a better city than Oklahoma City. That's a downgrade. Imagine living in Seattle and then realizing you have to move to Oklahoma City. What a drag.
Listen, man, all this talk about sports is going to force me to do a story about Supergirl. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it.
Well, when the Knicks win, we're going to have a good time with Russell.
No, you're not, because I'll be doing like, oh, what did Millie Alcock say today?
Russell has a nuclear option. He has the nuclear option.
Keeps head exploding.
Mutually assured of destruction. Yeah,
that's right.
Cold War going on here.
I mean, honestly, because of the way, like, the whole, commentariat in that space has been sucked into being like a tool for shepherding nerds into MAGA, my take on that stuff would be very different now. It's like, yeah, look, I mean, since I mentioned it, the Supergirl actress, Millie Alcock, I think her name is. Yeah, I don't understand how studios don't have a clause about what they can say when they're doing interviews, when they're promoting a movie that has to make $500 million to break even.
Right.
Like she gave some interviews talking about Trolls where she's like, yeah, and then you look at the profiles and it's, no picture, Christian dad, 4 kids. But if you're pissing off the right people,
Right.
you're doing something right. Okay, like whatever you think about that sentiment. Your job is to promote a product that you're a part of. That's what you're out there for. That needs to make $500 million fucking dollars. And that is a demographic that sells a lot of tickets. The dad with 4 kids for Supergirl. That is not the demographic that you want to sneer at, right? Whatever your personal opinions are. So yeah, like it's not even about saying that. Isn't your job to promote the movie? Like I don't get how they don't make them sign clauses in the contract that they can't say shit like that. It's very strange, man. It's a lot of money on the line.
See, 10 more seconds and I would have done a Nick segment. You're pushing it. You're pushing it with that.
See?
Russ has been talking about Star Wars on this show for the last 47 years. And how much longer am I supposed to sit back and do nothing? Right?
That's
Do you
right.
want this to go unchecked? I mean, how long is he going to be allowed to talk about Star Wars over and over and over again? Star Wars, and I've been trying not to do a sports segment because I'm a man of peace. I don't want to do it, but Russell cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Well, that's it. I understand Richie Rosencrantz's son is ready to come in and take over my position here.
Yeah.
Kenman G. Alanis Morissette's maternal grandparents were Hungarian Jewish Holocaust survivors. She is a French Canadian from Ottawa, but not Jewish. Canadians know everything about her. Okay. All right. There you go. All right. Professor Brown note, Norm's latest was called I'll Burn That Bridge When I Get to It.
Yep.
Will his next be called Snatching Defeat from the Jaws of Victory?
Snatching defeat from the Jews of victory.
Well, you want to talk about like Norm's just instinctual academic snobbery. That was the first time we interviewed him was about that book. And he was just determined to pursue the conviction that we had not read it.
No, we had not read it. Yeah.
Throughout the interview, we kept reading passages from it and quoting it. Yeah. And he wouldn't let it go. Well, even though you haven't read the book. And we'd be like, so on page 87. Yeah. And then he would say it again. I know you haven't read it.
I know you probably just turned to that page and picked something out.
Yeah. Random, and it happened to fit the question you wanted to ask.
Yeah, he was convinced we did not read it. He kept telling us we did not read it. That was funny. That was funny. I love the title though. It's a great title. I'll burn that bridge when I get to it. It's a great. I love that.
Yep. And actually, the book, Norm in an interview can be a bit loquacious, shall we say? I as for like academic writing. I thought that book was pretty entertaining and punchy. Like I thought it flowed pretty well.
I mean, the 3 pages I read were good.
All right, you want to do your thing?
Yeah. Let's move on. We got more chats and rants on the way, but let's move right on along here. All right, folks. So just a quick fake news update regarding the negotiations with Iran, because I feel bad calling these news updates since they're not news updates; they're fake news updates, right? More nonsense regarding the war with Iran. Donald Trump hyped the Mark Levin show yesterday. Watch Mark Levin tonight at 8:00. A big show. President Trump, tweets Chris Minahan, told all his followers to watch Mark Levin tonight, promising a big show. Levin spent most of the show praising Trump and Netanyahu for their courage in launching the Iran war and suggesting the American people will be to blame if the U.S. and Israel lose. So here's the big show that Donald Trump pumped up. Mark Levin brings on former Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Michael Oren, to urge Trump to stay the course in the Iran war. Levin, for his part, says that if my team loses the midterms, Trump should continue the war regardless. Trump told everyone to watch this show.
With Michael Oren, former Israeli ambassador to the United States. Michael Oren, I get the sense Israel is very concerned, very nervous how this works out because everything's at stake. This is an enemy that wants to blow Israel off the face of the map. That's why they pursue nuclear weapons.
That's not my problem. I'm not nervous. Are you nervous? Anybody in the chat nervous?
Nope.
Not my problem. I don't
Nope.
live in Israel. It's not my country.
Nope.
I don't owe any loyalty to Israel, so that's really
Fuck
not
Israel.
It's not a big concern of mine, because I live in America,
Yeah.
That's why they're pursuing thousands of ballistic missiles. Tell me, what is the mindset in Israel with the Israeli people and so forth?
Very concerned, Mark. I'll be very frank with you. I'm very concerned that if the regime has thrown a lifeline through sanction relief, through the unfreezing of frozen assets, you're talking about tens and tens of billions of dollars, then it will continue to fund Hezbollah, it will continue to fund Hamas, it will continue to build intercontinental ballistic missiles that have threatened us. And what I want to say to the president, if I had that elevator talk with him, as they talk about in Washington, where you get caught in an elevator with somebody for 2 minutes, I'd say to him, Mr. President, you have an opportunity to go down in history not as one of the great presidents of American history, but one of the great leaders
Not
of all
as
time.
a raper of tween girls.
yeah, exactly. But as a crusader for Israel and the West. Yeah. I mean, so far he's talking about reasons why Israelis should be concerned. I don't know why this is primetime television in America. I don't know why there's an American flag behind Mark Levin. They should just drop the pretense, just put an Israeli flag under there. I mean, this belongs on Israeli TV. Why is this on American TV? I think Flo Rida is more American than this. They should put a Flo Rida concert on instead of this. If they love
the
America.
ultimate game changer. And I know it's difficult and under your immense pressures economically, politically, but stay the course.
All right. I know that your people are suffering and this war benefits your people not at all, but we're very concerned. And so, it's really important if you're listening to this, Mr. President, to, understand that, Butler, Pennsylvania may not have been a one-off thing,
Stay the course and run out the clock on these guys because they have a clock.
And you know what else? Let's say my team loses the midterm elections in the House of Representatives. They're still not going to be able to stop the Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States, under our Constitution, from doing what he needs to do and what he wants to do. War Powers Act, No War Powers Act, and all the rest of it, unless they intervene in a budgetary way and literally cut us off. But that's on them if they do it.
We can't have a situation where the war ends where people will think, well, America didn't see it through to the end, and we're going to have to make up in some way with Iran, an angry and wounded neighbor. That would be very bad for Israel, but I think for the entire Middle East and the world. Again, to the president, please stay the course. There are tens and tens of millions of people who are looking to you right now to do precisely that.
All right, Mike.
So you just bring on the ambassador to lobby the president. And, last time there was almost a deal, or so we were told. There was that mysterious gunman outside the White House.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to think that's suspicious at all, it seems very gangsterish to me. Seems very gangsterish to me. This is the program that Mark Levin runs as these negotiations are ongoing. Mark Levin praises Trump and Netanyahu for courageously launching the Iran war, then suggests the American people will be to blame if the U.S. and Israel lose due to our lack of will. So here's Mark Levin telling Donald Trump, hey, you know what? You're fantastic. If only these Americans cared less about, their gas prices and more about the fate of a foreign nation, you could go down in history as one of the great world leaders of all time.
President Trump has done more to confront this grave threat to humanity than any other president. He and Benjamin Netanyahu have put their political careers on the line, have put their governments on the line. They've done more than anybody in the last half century to try and confront this Islamist revolution, to ensure that they don't get nuclear weapons, at least not on their watch, and hopefully beyond. President Trump, as I said, has put his presidency on the line to prevent this terrorist regime from destroying millions of us. Benjamin Netanyahu has put his prime ministership on the line because the people running who want to be prime minister are now attacking him for a variety of reasons. And these opponents, these myriad of ferocious, duplicitous, exploitive, political, and ideological opponents who would put our nation and the free world at risk of annihilation, even if it meant political advantage and electoral victories for them, are truly detestable. It's one thing to...
Okay, so this is a guy who has written, I mean, my guess would be dozens of books about the threat that the Democrat Party poses, right? I mean, this is just as partisan a Republican operative as you'll ever come across, so much so that he was actually a never-Trumper in 2016 because he didn't like Donald Trump. He didn't think he could win. And now his message is, hey, even if this costs you the midterms, even if this empowers this radical Democratic Party that we're so afraid of, that's just a price you have to be willing to pay, right? Because Israel needs us, right? I mean, if this is not just nakedly someone who just so obviously cares more about Israel than his own country, even when you look at what his politics are, right? If you assume he has those political convictions, and then you take a look at how willing he is to just throw his party into the hands, or his country into the hands of this horrible opposition that he fears and loathes so much, for Israel, he's totally willing to do it. I mean, this is what Israel first is. These people literally care about the fate of Israel more than they do about their own country. That is not an exaggeration. That is obviously true when you watch a guy like Mark Levin or Ben Shapiro or a guy like Randy Fine. I mean, it's as obvious as could be. But they are Israel firsters. I mean, that is not just a name. That is an accurate way of talking about them. Anything before I continue?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
To have a loyal opposition. It's another thing to have a disloyal opposition. President Trump is an extremely courageous leader who's done and is doing what 7 prior presidents refused to do. The question now is whether each of us, we the people, you, Mr. and Mrs. America, have as much courage as he does. And even more, whether we have the will.
Are his kids going to fight in this war? What do you mean Americans don't have as much courage as he does? You're telling me Donald Trump is a brave man? Are his family suiting up to go and fight this war? What about you? What about your kids, if you have any? No, the American people have to get courageous to go fight our wars for us.
To support the elimination of the Iranian regime so that our children and grandchildren and future generations will be free of their revolution and their threats.
Oh, we haven't been free from the Iranian Revolution for the past 47 years. We, in America, have not been free. So we've been an occupied nation by the Iranians my entire adult life. Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Explains the couscous.
Yeah, that explains the couscous. That's right. Well, oddly enough, Donald Trump was on Fox News just after that interview aired. Here is an interview that he did with Laura Trump. Look at that. Keeping it all in the family here on ongoing negotiations.
Deal look like for you?
Well, first of all, there's no deal that's good enough because the media will cover it. We're making a great deal. We're going to make it a great deal. Or we'll just go back and finish it off militarily. But this would go faster. It's probably better on a humane standpoint. There's something nice about it also. You save a lot of lives. Whether it's the other side or not, you save a lot of lives. But we're close to a very good deal, and if we can make it good, otherwise we just start up with the Department of War, as we call it. And it's been very successful. You saw Venezuela. It was a one-day win, and this is really a win already. We've defeated their military.
Oh, yeah. No,
essentially defeated their military.
This has been more successful than that, not less, as evidenced by the fact that we're still here in now going on the 3rd month. So from 4 to 6 weeks to now, where are we? May 31st? And it started February 28th. Wow. That's a long 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
And we are almost through this interview, and I haven't humiliated you by hitting on you on camera like I did with your sister.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so amazing.
And we're going to keep it that way. This would be a bad time for that.
Yeah. Did the Israelis hang that picture of the Butler, Pennsylvania over there as a reminder? Because it, seems like they are very intent in keeping tabs on you, keeping tabs on you there.
I'd rather get a deal because we can open the strait immediately upon signing. The One guarantee that I have to have is that there will be no nuclear weapons. They've agreed to that. And it was very interesting. They originally said, we will not develop a nuclear weapon. I said, well, what happens if you buy a nuclear weapon? So now it says we will not develop or in any way purchase a military weapon. That's a big difference.
We will not rent nuclear weapons. We will not borrow nuclear weapons. We will not purchase nuclear weapons. Okay, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Let's get the fake news update now from Axios. Axios, the H.A. Goodman of the Iran war, as we call them here. So here's Barak Ravid, who reports for Axios. The U.S. official said Trump was told it would take around 3 days before the Iranians get back with response. They're literally in caves and they're not using email, the senior administration official said. There will be a deal. The imminence of it, we'll see. We're willing to wait so the president gets what he asked for. It could be a week. It could be less. It could be more. At the turn of the week, we hope to have something, the senior administration official said. Trump rewrites the deal. This is new, according to Megatron. Trump rewrites the deal with Iran at the last moment per Axios, so they're citing Axios again. U.S. President Donald Trump has made amendments to the draft agreement with Iran, which his own negotiators have already agreed with Tehran. According to Axios, Trump demanded to tighten the clauses on the nuclear program and the deadlines for the export of enriched uranium. This is another delay, which shows that Washington cannot impose its conditions, and Tehran is in no hurry to capitulate. Okay, so where does that leave us? Well, this is funny, folks. This is comedy. You know, we've been doing some funny segments today, and who knew this would be the funniest one so far? Because here is Marco Rubio complaining that the United Nations is not able to impose peace on a conflict in the Middle East. Yes, he says this unironically, that the United Nations exists to make peace in these kinds of conflicts.
The UN, right? As a function, as something that functions that can solve global problems. What is the purpose of the UN? The UN was supposed to be a place where you could peacefully resolve global conflict. Right now, you have a country who is unlawfully, criminally, and illegally taking possession of an international waterway.
I thought he was going to say you have a country that is unlawfully and illegally committing a genocide and occupying the territory of its neighbors in violation of international law, and that every country, has called for a ceasefire at the United Nations except for one, and we're going to change that so the United Nations can do its job and hold Israel to account for its crimes. I thought that's where he was going, but that doesn't seem to be where he's going. Let's see.
Well, that's what was in the teleprompter. The Mossad changed it.
Yeah, he went off script. He went rogue.
Right now, you have a country who is unlawfully, criminally, and illegally taking possession of an international waterway and blowing up commercial vessels and putting mines in the water. I don't know if people appreciate how outrageous this is, how unacceptable it is that any country would fire and try to sink commercial vessels or put mines in the water. Both of these things are illegal. And so we're going to take it to the UN. And we're going
America fired on a commercial vessel today.
Yeah. Yep.
I was
that's
headed
right.
to Iran. Yeah.
Yep. But this guy is bitching that the United Nations can't stop unlawful activity in the Middle East. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. How many ceasefire resolutions did the United States veto at the UN? But of course, no one in that room will ask him that. I don't know if that was a press conference where he took questions from the press, but he'll never be asked that. Oh, now all of a sudden you want the UN to do its job. The United States has been preventing the UN from doing its job for the last 3 years. So that's where you stand right now, where Donald Trump is tweeting out advertisements for the show that's bringing on former Israeli ambassadors to lobby him into staying the course, even if it costs him the midterms. Don't forget what Trump said last week. He said, I don't care about the midterms. He thinks that because, what's his name, Ken Paxton won a primary, that I guess the Republicans are invincible in the midterms, or maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he's a lame duck, and maybe he figures if this is what I'm being ordered to do, these people are very powerful. I think they have blackmail on him. What I said about Butler, Pennsylvania there, I think, Max Blumenthal seems to be of the opinion that really scared Trump straight. The suspicion that there were, foreign actors behind that as a little scare. So I think that probably weighs on him as well. Clearly, he is not the one in charge. I think Mark Levin probably has more power in this country than Donald Trump right now. even though he is a media figure. And I say that because it seems to be like he's the one indirectly giving orders through the media, just like, Donald Trump communicates with the Israelis through the media all the time. After the 12-day war, their nuclear sites are being completely obliterated. They have nothing left. They pose no threat to us anymore. What is that for? That's for the Israelis. That's his way of telling the Israelis, all right, I did my job. Give me a pat on the back and let me go play golf. But they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
It's hard to even listen to this kind of shit at this point. I think for myself and for the entire world, like the idea of America putting on these kinds of histrionics about international law. I mean, we are natural allies with Israel because we cry bully the same way.
Right.
We started if you just left the freaking world alone, yeah, man, like there'd be economic competition, like people want to get ahead. Would there be warfare? Would people be attacking American bases and American interests if we just left everybody alone? No, no. We are really the cause of most of the murder and death by warfare and military adventurism around the world. And to see after we started this, Marco Rubio going up there and beating his chest about waterways and international law, it's just absolutely absurd. Even being an American, and I know the world outside of America definitely feels this way, it's kind of a helpless feeling of like just a mad dog that nobody has the power to stop, just rampaging around the world. It's a very dangerous moment. I mean, it's really a question of how are you going to stop this? Like, is it a case where we've never had the technology we have today? Like the normal course of imperial rise, level off, decline would usually come into play here, and it very well might, but it might not. I mean, you have so much of a military advantage built up in the United States, and you have a demonstration of a willingness to commit genocide on a scale no other country ever has, ever. Who else? We talk about the dropping of the atom bomb like this is some kind of a complicated, nuanced. No, it's not. What could be a greater war crime than to drop that weapon on a civilian population? Does anyone honestly think that a big part of the motive for that was not just as an experiment to see what would happen? They wanted to test it. They wanted to test it. They were able to justify, well, these guys are crazy. They're going to come at us with Ponzi sticks, and we have no choice but to completely evaporate a civilian population. Nobody's ever done that but us. We're the only ones. So the world has to worry. Like these crazy bastards, if we really try to take them on, they're the only ones who have shown the absolute lack of humanity to do something like that. So at that point, the Romans didn't have a nuke.
Right.
Is there anything to stop us from just deciding, all right, well, I mean, clearly this is the direction they're going in. We're going to flip the board, and we're just going to do something that no previous empire in decline ever did. We're going to use our overwhelming military power to impose such hegemonic control over the world that, culturally we might decline. The country, the heart of the empire, might be just an absolute dystopian shithole for most of the people who live in it, but our ruling class will remain the global ruling class because we're going to force that on the rest of the world, and there's nothing they can do about it. That seems to be the project. Is there anything that can stop it? I don't know.
Yeah, well, when you ask yourself, who has such a lack of humanity in them to, resort to nuclear weapons, now you have an entity even worse than us, which is the Israelis. They now have nuclear weapons too.
Right.
And, you know, that is a factor in all of this as well. It's not just what, in my opinion, there is overwhelming evidence for blackmail and threats and coercion and extortion and all that. But there's also the threat hidden in plain sight, which is they have nuclear weapons and they have a Samson option, right? And so that creates a lot of pressure, too, that I'm sure people are well aware of, even if they don't want to talk about it, because, of course, they don't want to frame Israel as the one holding the world hostage. But they are. They are, obviously. Okay, let's go on to some super chats over here. First, before we do that, John Olmstead. Fuck, she is a Zionist. I ought to known. Ha, good one. I get it. We got 2303 in the YouTube chat. And we got 931 in the like column. All right, beautiful. Thank you so much. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, please, and thank you. Laura Loomer needs 5 counselors just for herself. Ha, good one. Brad Gilbert. Laura Loomer reminds Canadians of Kids in the Hall's Chicken Lady. Not a if you know, you know. More like if you're Canadian, you know a. Worth the Google, though. All right, interesting. I'm intrigued. P. Walker, we can't accept the existential risk of taking back the Senate with people who won't do exactly what our donors demand. That risk is way worse than Trump. DNC officials. That's right. That's right. Hi, Russ and Keaton. Good show as usual. Question for Russell Dobular. I subscribed to your Substack while you were away. I don't see any of your trip posts there. The last post was on Kamala in October 2024. Help? Thanks. Well, the Kamala post was on the Due Dissident Substack.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I didn't put anything on there. I've been back for a hot minute. I'm pulling all this together. The Substack will start to have articles on it probably in a couple of weeks. Like I am going to write kind of more moody travelogue kind of stuff on there. Some of that will wind up being turned into video essays and that kind of thing. I haven't solicited people to join it because I believe the landing page shows it under construction, right?
Yeah, well, I think this guy's saying he joined our Substack and is expecting your travel stuff. So Russ created his own Substack for Russ on the road. So you got to join his Substack, but you don't need to join it yet because there's nothing there yet. We'll announce it when it rolls out.
When I start to, and actually I'm going to transport the list from Due Dissidents into that.
So
you'll automatically be enrolled in as a free member.
Yeah,
I haven't figured out exclusive content. Honestly, I was in pretty rough shape the first couple of weeks I got back. I've never had. I think they were exhaustion symptoms. I've never had this where I would be taking my walk to the park and literally nodding off.
Right.
Yeah, man, I was pretty beat up. So I'm just kind of recovering.
Yeah. So we will announce that when there's more stuff there.
I will.
Furrow's Queen, Graham Platner here. I'd like to apologize for asking an attractive voter, can my little Führer invade your whole land? Ha, good one. Good one. Vienticus Prime. Maybe I'll go to therapy so I can get a condition to go to therapy for. Kenman says, you guys are on fire today with the Platner material. You're killing me here. Yeah, Platner's always fun. We can't let a Platner story go to waste. Yeah, that always makes for a good time. Justin B 2630 says, let's not forget Graham is running as a Democrat, vice and independent in Maine. Vice and independent in Maine, where there is ranked code voting. Platner is just the next Pied Piper, a la AOC and Bernie. Don't fall for it. Is there somebody else running as an independent? Is that what you're saying? I did not hear that. But yeah, I haven't heard of someone else running as an independent. Again, the don't fall for it thing, we're not telling anybody to volunteer for the guy for the reasons we just highlighted in the segment. So fall for it meaning what? Don't say you'd rather he win than Janet Mills or Susan. What is the actual negative consequence of saying what we've said about Graham Platner? Pissing off people online. That's it.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the consequence.
Exactly.
And that's not that I understand that is a real thing in the podcasting business. But outside of the podcasting business, it's not a real thing. It doesn't matter what your online take is. It really doesn't. Like, it really doesn't, you know. And we are, you know, we have the poor business sense to tell you that, right?
Yes. Yes.
But we
that
actually.
is forget what you heard about Jews in business. We broke the mold.
Right. Yeah, we have the poor business sense to tell you that, but we tell you that because we try to nurture a healthy attitude towards these things, you know?
Oh, man. I got to say, man, because Keaton, you just dropped the Mamdani housing plan video. So actually, most of the comments were intelligent. You got a couple of these, complaining about it. We have one who was like, yeah, there's an $80 billion backlog in repairs, which is true, which I explained. The federal government started to defund public housing in 1980. This $5.6 billion isn't even close. You're right. So what's the argument? Don't do it. Like, don't just leave it alone. Like, don't start trying to repair it. Replace it with something else. Okay, so what would you replace it with, and where would you get the money to replace it? Like, what are you talking about? Like, there are a lot of people for whom the whole being in this conversation is about being negative and avoiding solutions. It's like that's the whole. It's not a bug; it's a feature. For a lot of people, they're here to channel negativity. That's it. You say anything positive, you're like a shill or something.
Well, and also that is what secures your place in the conversation, right? Like, the more staunch you are, the more firmly planted in the online conversation you are. But if that never translates into real life, then it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything. You can say anything on the internet.
I mean, that's it. You know, like if you're gonna make the argument, which I do and I did, that, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine about race yesterday, and I said, you know, man, you can't solve racism under capitalism. Does that mean that I think you should not do things like athletes refusing to play in these states that are gerrymandering? Do I think you shouldn't do that? Of course. Of course, these athletes, that's great. They should do that. You do what you can. At the same time, I think racism is inherent to capitalism, as many people will argue, because there's such an incentive to finding ways to get workers to fight each other.
Right. Sure.
That they're always going to keep that ball in play.
Of course. Vientikis, links in the email, Keaton. Okay, great. Thank you. User Zexala, how you feel about China's capital outflow restrictions that hurt casino owners like Miriam? And why wouldn't MAGA also demand to keep money leaving the U.S.? That's funny. Actually, Mark, I'm looking forward to Boom Boom TA. Thank you. P.W. Walker. Anyone else notice that Zionists is invariably come from privilege, which allows them to think about esoteric things like Israeli national survival rather than basic daily survival, like the rest of us? Yes, good point. Good point. It's a very privileged politics to be that overwhelmingly concerned with the business of a foreign country. Steve Elsidor, Trump canceled the concert. Vanilla Ice has been put back on ice. Yeah, it was in the news that he was trying to cancel it. Did they make that official?
It's too much of an embarrassment.
Too much of an embarrassment. What are you going to do? All right, let's move right on along, I guess.
Okay, so this story is blowing up, and this is maybe the most consequential story of the week in terms of the impact it might have on your life if a stop is not put to this. Congress quietly moves to integrate U.S. and Israeli militaries. And good on this indie outlet, Responsible Statecraft. I believe they're the ones that broke this story. Buried in the House's version of the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act released on Tuesday is Section 224, entitled United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative. The provision would arguably do more to intertwine the U.S. military with the Israeli military than the more than $200 billion, inflation adjusted, in military assistance Israel has received from the U.S. since its founding in 1948. Section 224 lays the groundwork for bilateral research and development, co-production of weapons, joint ventures, licensing agreements, and seemingly every manner of U.S.-Israeli military-industrial complex coordination. The U.S. and Israel already work together heavily on missile defense, but this provision would greatly expand coordination to seemingly every area of defense tech, including AI, quantum, autonomous systems, directed energy, cyber, biotech, and many more. It also proposes network integration and data fusion. In other words, the U.S. military's data could soon be the Israeli military's data. If fully enacted, this proposal would provide a higher level of military-industrial integration than the U.S. has with any other country in the world. To be sure, the U.S. has worked closely with its NATO partners on co-production and shared supply chains, most notably via the Defense Production Action Plan. And as the number one arms dealer in the world, the U.S. provides weapons to militaries across the globe. But that is mostly a one-way street, with the U.S. providing weapons to foreign buyers who only occasionally make parts for those weapons themselves, as in the case of the F-35's global supply chain. Section 224 would be a different beast entirely. It would fuse the U.S. and Israeli defense sectors in multiple areas vital to the battlefields of the future, like autonomous systems and cyber. It would also bring extraordinary Israeli influence to the U.S. beyond what it already has through the Israel lobby and its robust network of social media influencers. It would give the Israeli government the opportunity to greatly expand one of the most powerful levers of influence in U.S. politics, jobs in the U.S., by expanding or starting new co-production facilities like it already has in Mississippi and Arkansas. The Israeli government could boast of providing jobs on U.S. soil, thereby securing allies among members of Congress who represent the districts where those jobs lie. As laid out in a recent Quincy Institute brief authored by Stephen Simon, this shift from an aid model to a military integration model has troubling implications, namely, and this is the point, quote, the shift will strip away the political and diplomatic oversight mechanisms that make the relationship publicly accountable, moving it from a visible annual aid vote into the opaque machinery of defense acquisition, where oversight is limited and political accountability is minimal. The result would be a defense relationship that is simultaneously deeper and less transparent. So this is Marjorie Taylor Greene commenting on this. Section 224 of the 2027 NDAA integrates the U.S. military with the Israeli army. This is what complete capture to a foreign government looks like, and there hasn't been a single shot fired. And of course, Thomas Massey weighed in. If the provision in the NDAA to integrate/synchronize the U.S. and Israeli militaries makes it out of committee, I'll offer an amendment to strip it from the bill on the floor. We are a sovereign country. And Massey draws attention to one of his colleagues. My colleague's thoughts from Wisconsin is Derek Van Orden. This is the dumbest possible take on this. Another anti-Semitic grift from the Costa Rica kid. I don't get that. What does Massey have to do with Costa Rica?
They went on an America First retreat. Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene went sailing out to Costa Rica.
I see.
Yeah, I call that the Vanilla Flotilla.
This security agreement will allow for the U.S. to leverage advanced Israeli technologies. Don't you have some Epstein names to release? Pedo protector. He's the pedo protector.
Oh, yeah.
Thomas Massey's the pedo protector. Now, it didn't take long to follow the money on Derek Van Orden. Boom. Boom. APAC tracker. Derek Van Orden voted for AIPAC's main censorship bill, which aims to criminalize criticism of the Israeli government. And at the time that they dropped this, what is this? March last year, so it's probably a lot more now. At that time, he had received $105,096, according to AIPAC Tracker, from the Israel lobby. I'm sure it's quite a bit more at this point. And let's take a look at the people who introduced this bill. Mike Rogers and Adam Smith. See, isn't bipartisanship wonderful? Isn't it wonderful when Republicans and Democrats get together and agree? So Mike Rogers, the Republican, Adam Smith, the Democrat, introduced this amendment. Let's take a look at where they get their bread buttered. Mike Rogers has received more than $500,000 in campaign cash. And again, this is a year ago. So I'm sure it's a lot more than that now. It was $549,099 a year ago. And Adam Smith, he's a baller, man. Look at him. $1,335,151. I'm sorry. If this is not treason to the United States, what would treason be? What would treason look like? This is treason. They're being paid by a foreign country to propose legislation that is going to deeply compromise national security and literally the autonomy of the military. That's treason. It's treason.
Remember, folks, Shama Sawant's running against Adam Smith. So
there you go.
Got an option.
You got an option. Vote for Shama. Vote for Shama. She doesn't take any of that AIPAC money, man. She gets money, I hear, from Big Matcha. She gets some of that matcha money. That's about it.
She won't take the Jews' money at all. Rush tried to buy her a cup of coffee. She says, "No, I cannot take it. No,
I cannot. You're Jewish.
You're Jewish.
You're Jewish, you motherfucker."
You tried to set me up.
she wouldn't take it. Where are the cameras? So, in all seriousness, support Shama.
Yes, of course, support Shama.
So Gen X girl is on fire with this. This is right up her alley with her deep research. So if you don't already follow her on Substack, follow her on X. She's dropping a lot of information about this. Why the fuck would we give full access to our advanced technology to Israel, who have committed so many acts of economic sabotage against us? Which is true. Look at this. Lavi fighter jet. After the U.S.-funded Lavi project was canceled, Israel was accused of selling the plans and associated U.S. technology to China, which reportedly helped the Chinese develop their own modern fighter aircraft. Missile technology. Specific missile systems, such as the Python 3 air-to-air missile technology derived from U.S. Sidewinder missiles, were sold to China, leading to the development of China's PL-8 missile. Early warning systems. A planned $1 billion sale of an advanced Israeli airborne warning system, AWACS, radar system Falcon, to China in 2000 was canceled due to intense U.S. pressure. Drone technology. In 2021, several Israeli individuals and companies faced indictments for illegally exporting cruise missiles and drone technology to an unnamed Asian country widely understood to be China without proper authorization. The United States generally leads in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and aspects of quantum computing, while China is the primary leader in robotics and automation and also a major player in quantum computing, and catching up rapidly in those other areas. So again, from Gen X girl, in typical Israel lobby fashion, they have several bills to address this. So if one fails, others are ready to go. The U.S.-Israel Futures Act, U.S.-Israel Defense Partnership Act, NDAA, U.S.-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation. There is also Pax Silica, which focuses on non-military advanced tech. And she dropped a video here dealing with all these different areas where Israel is attempting to integrate with the U.S. military. And she also has an article about it on our Substack you might want to check out. So this is Tony Segura here. This is part of a longer thread that's worth reading if you really want to understand some of the background on this. But here's what's at stake. 150 million a year, which is what would be given to Israel as part of this package, is a rounding error in a $1.15 trillion defense bill. But the institutional architecture this creates is permanent. Once Israeli firms are embedded in U.S. supply chains, once Israeli origin IP is inside Pentagon programs of record, once U.S. and Israeli military data networks are fused, disentanglement becomes economically and institutionally impossible. You can't just stop the aid check. You'd have to rip apart procurement programs, break contracts, and rebuild supply chains. That's the point. This is designed to make the relationship irreversible at precisely the moment when a growing number of Americans are questioning unconditional support for Israel's actions in the region. The traditional Israel lobby works through campaign contributions and media influence. This is more sophisticated. It works through the defense procurement bureaucracy itself, creating material interests that guarantee political support regardless of public opinion. That's what happens next. The House Armed Services Committee markup is scheduled for June 4th, 2026. After that, the bill moves to the full House, then reconciliation with the Senate version. Section 224 is currently in the base text, meaning it was put there by committee leadership before amendments or broader debate. That's how the most consequential provisions get through. Bury them in the chairman's mark, count on the must-pass nature of the NDAA, and dare anyone to hold up the entire defense budget over one section. Members who want to stop this have a narrow window. Force a floor amendment to strike Section 224 or demand recorded votes to put colleagues on the record supporting the fusion of U.S. and Israeli militaries. The question is whether anyone has the stomach for that fight when the pro-Israel apparatus in both parties remains largely unchallenged. All right. So right here is part of the problem with Norm's discussed thesis this week. Who's going to do that besides Thomas Massie?
Exactly.
Thomas Massie is literally the only guy in the House who will do this. AOC's not going to do it. Who's going to do it? Marjorie Taylor Greene's gone. Who's going to do it? Thomas Massie, that's what he's saying. He's saying he's going to propose that amendment. Why are they doing this? Well, it's obvious. They see the writing on the wall. They know if not today, tomorrow, if not tomorrow, next year, eventually you cannot have such hostility towards Israel without it producing anti-Israel politicians who win elections. And they are going to start to question the procurement of funds for Israel when the NDAAs come up. They are trying to make the move now while they have the juice, while they have the muscle before that happens, where it won't matter. You can't get them out of the Pentagon. It's impossible to disentangle them from our economy, from our military, from our technology. Now, this is interesting. I almost included this. This was Michael Eisenberg gave a speech that got a lot of play. It's a little less than a year ago, where he was basically laying out this vision of Tel Aviv as the center of finance and technology for Southeast Asia and the Middle East. I did a piece on this when I was talking about why you have all these Chabad houses in Southeast Asia, like why all these Israelis are going there, because that's part of their vision of the future. If that's part of their sphere of influence, Southeast Asia. And then he says, New York will be the gateway into America. This, I believe, is part of that. Like, if you want to know, a lot of people have said part of the reason Israel wanted to draw the United States into Iran is because they want to destroy the United States, because they have to weaken the United States in order to execute that plan. For them to become the dominant power, this tiny country with how many people they have? 10 million people? 9 million people? 10 million people? in Israel?
About that.
Okay.
I thought you were
For
talking
that,
about Iran at first, but no, yeah, Israel's about, I think, 9 million, 10 million.
for them to execute that plan, they have to weaken the United States. So the United States, so they're I think that analysis is correct. I think they're playing a game where they're trying to use American military to their own ends to build up this vision, basically, of greater Israel, which potentially expands, make Jews feel under threat all over the world. That's part of the master plan. So you get them to populate it. So you expand this population. You concentrate tech and finance there, and you wind up being the dominant power in the region. That's their long play. So why would Israel, being ally of the United States, keep selling technology to China? Because they understand that you need China in the world to act as a counterbalance against the United States.
Right.
So that the United States is always going to kind of be on its back heel. That allows them to execute their vision of essentially becoming a global power and dominating this particular sphere that incorporates Southeast Asia and the Middle East. That belongs to Israel. China's here acting as a bulwark against the United States. So the United States can't interfere too much in what they're doing because they always have to be playing a defensive game against China. That is why they, in my opinion, that's why they sold that technology to China, because they want to help China. They see it as being in their interests. Israel has no loyalty to the United States. They hate us. They hate us. They're using us to execute, I believe, what Eisenberg laid out in that speech, to execute that plan. They see that the United States is going to try to break out, that the American people have gotten wise, and now they're trying to make it impossible for the United States to get free. This is getting a lot of attention, and Massey is still in the Congress, but you got to ask yourself, you know, Massey's going to be gone. Marjorie Taylor Greene's going to be gone. What happens when they bring it? Suppose they defeat it this time. What happens next time? And as Gen X Girl lays out in her article, there are a bunch of other avenues they're taking to do this also. Are you going to be able to defeat all of them, given that there's such a bipartisan Zionist domination of our government? It is very, very dangerous.
Yeah. Israel doesn't have friends. They don't have allies. They have people they can control and people they cannot.
Right.
And the more they can control you, the more of a friend you are to them. That's why Netanyahu calls Donald Trump the greatest friend that Israel's ever had, because they can control him more than any other politician they've ever had the opportunity to, either with blackmail, maybe perhaps with threats on his life, or perhaps with money, you know, or perhaps a combination of those three things. But that's what they mean when they call someone a friend, when they call someone an ally. Right? How much control do we have over you? That's why they consider the United States an ally, because they exert a certain control over us. And, you know, speaking of Norm, you know, yes, I think your point was absolutely well taken and appropriate in this context. Another thing he has been known to say is that, you know, Israel does not control the United States. The United States uses Israel to have its way in the Middle East. As if to say Israel controls the United States is to somehow exonerate the United States. No, I mean, we made a devil's bargain when we got into bed with this state. So, you know, there's, again, not to rehash that, but I think it's important to remind ourselves of these debates, because when issues like this come up, when stories like this surface, to me, it's pretty clear that, like, at least in their mind, they're in charge, right? Now, that's not to say, look, we have the most powerful military in the world. Can we just tell them to go fuck themselves? Yeah, maybe. Then again, Samson option, right? They're holding the world hostage, is what people have to understand. They are the problem. They are the problem. They are the ones holding the world hostage. And, you know, to me, it is not to exonerate the United States of its various crimes around the world to say that. You know, to me, it doesn't have to be either or, right? But how could you look at a story like this and not determine, especially given their business with China? I mean, what is that? What is
Right.
that if not
Why
an
would they do
effort
that?
to
Right.
weaken the United States on the world stage, which is the direction they see things going anyway? You know, they do not like anybody, and no one really likes them. The only people who like them are like the die-in-the-wool fanatics like Mark Levin and Ben
Right.
Shapiro. But do I think Trump likes Benjamin Netanyahu? No, I don't. I think he hates his guts, honestly. Just like I think Barack Obama hated his guts. The difference is Barack Obama never been to the island. or never had anything to do with the network of people who was on the island, at least in that way, in the way that Trump likely did.
When me and Michelle
documents.
get up to funny business with the chef, we have the good sense to drown him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, do we really believe Donald Trump is friends with Benjamin Netanyahu? No, that doesn't really matter. Like, to me, there's this obsession with if you make that point, it's because you're trying to exonerate Trump. No, it's just it's the way I see it, and to me, that's the only way to see it. And how could you see it any other way when a story like this comes up? I mean, it's pretty obvious what their intentions are. I think the way you put it was spot on. All right, do you want to take some more chats there?
Sure.
Oh, wait. Let me, Jake, can we put the scroll up, please? And thank you. Sorry, I almost forgot Jake is with us because it's a daytime show. Sorry, Jake. I didn't mean to disrespect you. Round of applause for Jake in the chat. Just not used to having Jake in the daytime. So, yeah, if you want to become a member, those are the links. Q&As every Sunday night, except tonight because it's not a night show. We are moving the patron Q&A to Tuesday. So there will be a call-in Q&A this Tuesday for members. It's one of many perks that you get. You also get Film Club once a week with Right Brain TV. Had a great film club this last time. Really fun presentation of Dead End Drive-In. That was really, really cool. So thanks to our friends at Right Brain TV for working with us on that. We also do post-game extra segments plus Q&As once a month. You get ad-free versions of every live stream emailed to you the day after they air in public. They come across your email feed. So if you miss a show and you want to watch it free of ad interruption, you have the option to do that when you become a member. All that for just $5 a month, plus your name up in lights on the show scroll, plus the goodwill of supporting our independent media project here. So dudissidents.com/Patreon/Substack or /locals. Them's the links. All right, go ahead.
All right. Brad Gilbert. No, Trump was in on Butler. Crop the bullet. It's AI, all staged. So we believe we elected the owner's selection. Politics is theater, a distraction. I mean, you know, I could go that way too on that. We've covered that theory.
Yeah.
John, 2017. I am a coward. I've always said, look at my long legs. The good Lord made me for running, not for fighting. But I still feel confident that I have more courage than DJT. Love from Florida. I guess that means I was made for fighting. Kirk the 11. I subscribe to Russ on the road. Guess I'll watch your YouTube vids instead. Thanks. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
The vids are a labor of love. Squire 1975, and check out the Me Live one. I was very proud of that one. Talking, I was early teens when they burst on the scene, and I thought they were great. How naive I was, especially since my faves were S&G, Dire Straits, etc., and the greatest Pink Floyd, Scotland. I was a Pink Floyd fanatic when I was a teenager. I was a huge Pink Floyd fan.
Simon Garfunkel's great too.
I think there was a whole school year where I pretty much watched the Alan Parker adaptation of The Wall every day when I got home from school. Turd Burglar. Hey, and you know what's funny? Roger Waters hates that movie.
Interesting.
Turd. I think it's the same way Stephen King hates The Shining. Like, they can't see it. They only see what their vision of it is. They just can't appreciate any other take on it. Turd Burglar. Hey, Russ, from the last live stream, was your landlord just giving away turds in a box for free?
For free.
Holy smoke, that's a perk, man.
Gives new meaning to the phrase free shit.
Yeah, free shit. Free shit in the lobby. P.S. Sorry for the late message. Was just filling out a new renter application. Yeah, those are rough times, man. Because, you had all that fucking COVID pressure, which I think we all went a little crazy at that time. Even if you didn't realize you did. Like, everybody was affected by it. Even if you thought you were okay, you were not
It's a
okay.
pressure cooker, yeah.
To be in a fucking building where you literally are locked in with a maniac who lives to get at you. I mean, that was the reality, man. He would blast music 24 hours a day, like just anything he could do to bother people. And you're stuck inside during COVID with that. It was that was a tough time, man. Best words of wisdom, an older black lady in the building said to me at that time, nothing lasts forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna end.
Yep.
And she was right. It did. Bill, let me blow this up. What's that say? Bleeble. Regarding America's 250th year lackluster celebration, the number 250 isn't as emotionally grabbing as our 200th was, or upcoming 300th. Yeah, if possible, will be. I thought of that, but still, man, like it's just too much of a contrast.
Yeah, this is America.
It's not like it's 50% dialed down. It's like 99% dialed down.
Yeah. And it's still 250, still a big enough number for you'd think Pizza Hut would want to take advantage or something.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And that's what it was back then. It was all that made it so wall to wall.
Right.
Gina and Heidi.
They even have hats. You buy hats. Like you buy hats for the World Cup. You're not going to, you'd think like CVS would have baseball hats for the bicentennial. No, nothing.
Yep. Gina and Heidi, I'm having surgery later this week. Please get on your knees and pray for me. Here's $1 to cover your expenses.
To get on our knees? Well, we would have done it for free.
We would have done it for free. Good luck.
Best of luck.
Whoops. All right. Liebel. Maybe it's my lack of internet proficiency, but I can't donate to you through the YouTube chat, only the Rumble chat.
Maybe
Does that come up the other way around more often? Janet Tillis. The worst thing about these fancy new drones is how they go on and on and on and on.
Good one. Clever.
So, cute. Username. Holding the world hostage implies that there's any scenario where Israel lets anyone off this ride alive. You can't trust the sorts of people who would kidnap your kids to follow the rules they made. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
right.
It's an unpleasant reminder, but we are Jewish, so we do have a chance if we bend the knee. But we won't. Don't worry. Solidarity with you guys.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
I always like the goyim, especially the Catholic schoolgirls.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. All right. Let's do one more, shall we? We got one more segment on the afternoon. Once again, folks, no Q&A today due to the schedule change, but we will be doing Q&A after Tuesday's show. So long show Tuesday with the post-show Q&A. All right. Let's take a look at what we got over here. Oh, wait. What the hell happened here? Come on. Did I not get this right? Hang on. I might have to... Why have I been screwing up? I've been screwing up lately. My videos, I haven't been. I've been spacing out.
Yeah, I was gonna say something.
Yeah, Russ was gonna say something. You've been fucking up lately, really fucking up bad. Where is it? Oh, I think this is it, because I didn't label it properly. Yeah, there it is. Okay, I just didn't label it right. All right, here we go. All right, false alarm. All right, folks. So, it brings me no pleasure to report this, but apparently the rural township of Andover, New Jersey has been overrun with Chinese spies, because these people are very, very excited that their local government has just canceled a data center project. So it just goes to show you, folks, you can't tell a book by its cover. These may look like salt-of-the-earth Americans, but they're obviously spies for the Chinese Communist Party. Obviously. It's the only explanation I can think of why these people wouldn't want a giant water-sucking, energy, eating, noise-polluting data center in their beautiful pastoral rural area. So here they are. Again, these look like ordinary folk.
Yeah.
They look so harmless, you know.
It's all China.
Yeah. It's really convincing because they look like ordinary people to me.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that they were Chinese communist spies, but
Well, it's because you haven't been to China, Keaton. I
why,
feel with my expertise, I can assure you, these are all agents of the CPC. I know what they look like now.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Pretty
amazing.
much like this. Yeah.
It's amazing how well they just blend in. I mean, it really was sobering for me when I saw this. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, how do you know? How do you know if these people are Chinese spies? And how can we trust anybody, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was
That's
was
the
really,
idea.
Yeah. I mean, scary stuff that we're living through here, folks. So let's get some reporting on this from the communist-infiltrated New Jersey Herald. Sussex County town officially bans data centers after public pushback. The Andover Township Committee formally voted to ban data centers May 28th after several weeks of heated debate over a pending application culminated in a physical confrontation. Yeah, we're going to show you the physical confrontation. The cops dragged the guy out for speaking up. That's what happened. Okay, that's what they call it. They like to frame it neutrally. It was a physical confrontation. Yeah, the cops rousted a guy for basically doing a Jose Vega, saying, don't build this here.
Right.
The 5-member township committee unanimously approved an ordinance amending Andover's zoning code to designate data centers as a prohibited use in all zones within the township. The measure repeals 2 previous ordinances, one establishing guidelines for data centers and the other increasing the maximum building height in the area for data centers only. The committee introduced the ordinance at a special meeting May 12th. The measure was then sent to the Land Use Board, who reviewed it and found that it was consistent with the township's master plan. The ordinance introduction came less than a week after police officers tackled a member of the public who had been asked to leave after speaking twice during the regular meeting. Footage of the incident spread quickly on social media, prompting Mayor Tom Walsh and Deputy Mayor Krista Gilchrist to issue a video statement announcing the committee's intention to back off the data center issue. So here's one of these videos of the cops dragging the guy out.
Leave him alone! What the fuck is wrong with you people? What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you? Why don't you get the tasers out, loser? What the fuck? Fucking pussy! Get the mayor's son! Oh.
It's the mayor's son is the cop who tackled him. Interesting. Now, there's no video of the actual incident, but you can tell that the guy was not being a physical disturbance by the fact that everyone around him is saying on camera to the cops that this is freedom of speech and that he didn't do anything. So here's a little bit more of an extended video. First Amendment applies.
Don't put your hands on. Freedom of speech. Watch out, ATVD is following me. For what? What did he do wrong? What did he do wrong? Cops are pussy. You guys are fucking pussies for doing this. He did nothing fucking wrong. You're pieces of shit. Or what? Or what? I'm not doing anything wrong.
We are literally having a town meeting in a barn. There's taxidermy on the wall, and you're talking about proposing an AI crypto mining data center in this town. This is not a wealthy New York City suburb. This is working class Jersey at its core. And not only are you inviting big tech into our backyard, but you're handing out tax breaks to them as if there's not work to be done here, as if there's not potholes to be filled, roads to be fixed, schools to be funded, some men here for our volunteer fire department. And if you're going going to invite them into our backyard, take away our job opportunities, raise our electric bills, right? Pollute our water. The least that you could demand from them is adequate tax payments for their facility. But you're taking a buyout. Tens of millions of dollars that's being wasted that's not going to these things. Economic development for who? Because it's not the town. We're not getting a lot of funding from this, right? You're doing it for big tech, for Silicon Valley. And, you know, you act like this wasn't happening. You tried to slip it under the rug, so I got to ask, how much are they paying you to allow this data center?
Sing it, preach. That's the way it goes. That's how
What
you
what
do it.
what kind of a loser do you have to be for you to be the son of the mayor, and the best you could do is to become a cop?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
There's no inside track there somewhere. I guess it's a small town.
But
hey,
you're not smart enough to become the corporate counsel for the county. No,
right.
Just became a cop.
Just became a cop in some hippy dippy town, right? I mean, it's New Jersey. It's a blue state, right? These must just be a bunch of woke Democrats whose Trump derangement syndrome is so severe that they're against anything the president does, even if it's bringing these wonderful data centers to their community, right? I mean, we really can't take this as any kind of barometer of where real America stands, because New Jersey, it's a liberal state, right? This is overwhelmingly blue. Oh, no. Sussex County is in the upper left-hand corner there, northwestern most county in New Jersey.
Blood
It's a
red.
county that went 61% for Donald Trump to Kamala Harris's 36%. It's the reddest county in the entire state. And they turned out in such overwhelming numbers to get the city government to nix this data center. So when I say that this is the issue that is going to, if any issue, is going to unite people along class lines to understand that not just their electric bill or their environment, their very way of life is being threatened by the AI tyrants of our time. It is this one. It is this one, and we're seeing it. The proof is in the pudding, not just here, all over. Michigan residents filed the first class action lawsuit in the United States over data center noise destroying their home values. So, you know, we know because the government tells us that, you know, opposition to data centers is all foreign influence. It's China, it's Russia, it's Iran, it's foreign propaganda. Consider the alternate point, just to play devil's advocate here. Maybe it's that people don't want to live next to this. Now, if you're listening on the podcast, no, your iPhone didn't just break. That is the sound of a data center in Michigan. Imagine living next to this. One resident says the noise has made him unable to open his windows in the summer and is worried about what it will do to his property value. You think?
Wow.
Good luck selling your house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
Fuck's
luck.
gonna buy that.
The company Hyperscale Data is planning to expand. But no, I mean, Americans are just being propagandized into not wanting this right near their house. You know, I mean, what are they, against technology? What are they, against making money? What are they, communists? Just crazy. But hey, apparently the propaganda is working. More cities are pressing pause on data centers as local backlash grows. Hearing backlash from residents, cities and counties across the country in recent weeks have blocked planned data centers amid concerns over rising electricity prices and environmental harm. The local actions come as state lawmakers also are looking to limit or repeal the incentives for the centers, which are sprawling campuses of computer servers that store and transmit the data behind apps and websites. The Denver City Council this month unanimously approved a one-year moratorium on data centers, halting new zoning permits and site development plans while the city drafts rules for future projects. In April, Oklahoma City approved a similar moratorium that will be in effect until the end of this year, or until the city updates its zoning code. Tulsa, Oklahoma also approved a temporary stop on new data center construction, though major projects already in the pipeline will be allowed to proceed. Smaller communities are taking similar steps. In Illinois, both Bloomington and Normal earlier this month approved 6-month moratoriums, and Morgan County took the same action in April. In Michigan, Huron County this week approved a 3-year moratorium, joining roughly 20 other Michigan communities that have paused data center construction. In Georgia, Camden County enacted a 6-month moratorium earlier this month, becoming the first community on the state's coast to do so. And a cluster of counties in North Carolina have hit pause, including Chatham County in February and Orange County, which includes Chapel Hill, in April. But not all cities are souring on data centers. Cheyenne, Wyoming, this week opted not to proceed with a 1-year moratorium after a lengthy public hearing. Well, I know now where the next Ed Gallrein's going to go run for Congress. There you go.
There you go.
Cheyenne, Wyoming. There you go. They love it. They love it. So if you're AIPAC and you're looking to grab another seat, there you go. Looks like Wyoming's at-large district might be fertile ground for you, because they love the idea of data centers. A study released at the end of 2024 by researchers at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory estimated U.S. data centers used about 4.4% of U.S. electricity in 2023. Now look at this number, with projected use rising to between 6.7 and 12% by 2028. So you're talking about potentially tripling your utility footprint in 5 years. That's why when that article went viral a few months ago, he said this is not just going to happen like slowly. This is going to happen pretty much all at once. It's going to be very similar to COVID. Remember how, like, in January of 2020, you're hearing, oh, yeah, there's a virus. Seems like it's kind of spreading. And then one day, boom, mid-March, you're home. You're locked in. It's going to be kind of like that. A March Gallup poll found that 7 in 10 Americans would oppose the nearby construction of data centers for artificial intelligence, higher than the 53% of respondents who said they would oppose living near a nuclear power plant. So that's right. Data centers now considerably more feared than nuclear power plants. And that rural, Trump-friendly, or at least formerly Trump-friendly district in northwestern New Jersey was not the only example of conservatives souring on data centers and willing to break ranks with the party that promotes them. So MSNBC interviewed some rural conservative Texans, asking them if they're willing to let the Senate fall into the hands of Democrats if that's what it takes to end data centers, and they got a pretty convincing response.
Cheryl Shadden says the noise is as loud as ever.
It's like living on the edge of Niagara Falls, or you're on a runway next to a jet that's taking off, but this jet doesn't take off.
Morning, noon, night, she even hears it in her bedroom, and it's changed everything about how she lives her life, including her politics.
Red or blue, if you vote against data centers, we vote for you.
A lifelong conservative, she's so angry, she refuses to vote for Trump-backed Attorney General Ken Paxton, who clinched the GOP nomination for Senate Tuesday. Instead, she's all in for James Tallarico, a Democrat seeking to flip a seat controlled by Republicans since 1993.
You're willing at this point to forego basically every conservative issue and let the Senate fall into the hands of Democrats if that's what it takes to kill data centers.
Yep. My entire community is going to break rank. Everybody. All of us. We've had enough.
Breaking rank and coming together.
I voted for Trump.
I voted for Trump. Yeah, it's as simple as this now. If you're a politician and you're running against data centers, you're going to win. I think that's pretty clear. I've never seen an issue as potent as this. Really, never. I mean, you've never seen an issue that has so instantly united people of all political persuasions. Like this has happened. This has all come together in the last couple of months. You've seen these protests and these town halls. It's just like, just as fast as the AI overlords are going to flip the switch to put these up, that seems to be how fast people are saying no, hell no. Again, it's the same thing with the ICE prisons. It's all fun and games until it's next to your house, right? This is why the NIMBY principle is so powerful in politics, because even if you agree, even if you're an Elon dick sucker in theory, and these people don't look hyper online, they look like grass touchers. They look more psychologically healthy than, say, me. But they don't strike me as big Elon stans. But even if you are a big Elon stan, it's easy to be an Elon stan when he's building one of these things 1,000 miles away. What happens when you put it next to your house and all of a sudden you can't sell your house anymore? You can't live in your house anymore. The noise is just constant, right? So here's one more example. A small central Oregon town of Lapine just stopped a massive data center after the community came together and fought back. Don't forget, Central Oregon, folks, is very red. Very red. Those Pacific Northwest states are extremely blue on the coasts and very, very red everywhere else. So again, this is not some hippie commune here.
Matter determined the purchase and sale is closed.
Wow, look at that. Broke the microphone.
A big wave of relief from a very passionate crowd after the Lapine City Council decides not to move forward with a proposed data center. That vote unanimous and came after residents voiced strong and often fiery opposition to the proposed project. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight at 11. I'm Molly Hendrickson. That city council vote came after hours of public comment. It was a packed house at the Lapine Senior Center tonight. The proposal called for a 20-megawatt data center on Reed Road east of Highway 97 in Lapine. The proposal has fueled outrage among many in the community. Tonight, many residents raised concerns about energy use, water, noise, and whether the project would really benefit the community. Residents were relieved their voices were heard.
I feel really proud of my new community. I feel really proud that we've had this many people show up. Apparently, we had a lot of people show up at the last meeting and they decided they needed a bigger space. And so we showed up.
When our community showed up like this, we heard them and we knew what we had felt in our gut all along was the right choice for our community. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
City leaders also questioned discrepancies in projected revenue, energy costs, and the number of permanent jobs the data center would create.
Okay, so your MAGA overlords, I won't say the MAGA movement, since I think a lot of the MAGA movement is peeled off, but your government now and your media figures now who spent 4 years under Joe Biden warning you that the woke liberals are these anti-human, hedonistic lizard people who want to enslave you with UBI and 15-minute cities and give your jobs to robots, and Trump represents the salt of the earth, God-fearing, ordinary American. Those are the very people now who want you to believe that this lady right here is either a violent extremist or being manipulated by a foreign power. No, these are people who, oddly enough, were the backbone of the MAGA movement. These are the people, I'm not saying her personally, obviously, I don't know her voting patterns, but we showed you the map. Northwestern New Jersey, most Trump-friendly county in the state. Central Oregon, very, very conservative territory. These are people who actually love, I don't know, God. They love their families. You know, the things that the MAGA movement kind of ran on. Yeah. yeah. You know, their faith, their family. That's why when the Pope comes out against data centers, it resonates more than whatever Fox News whore tells you that this is all a foreign influence operation to convince people that, you know, war is peace, ignorance is strength. This is the most obvious thing in the world, that the encroachment of these AI overlords into the backyards of ordinary people is a bridge too far for ordinary people, as well it should be. And these are not extremists. These are not agents of a foreign power. They're not dupes of foreign influence ops. These are just ordinary people who can look out the window and tell what's good for them and where they want to live and where they don't want to live and what they want in their communities. And they're coming out and looking out for each other and organizing effectively against these data centers. And the message could not be louder or clearer. You saw an example of that in the MSNBC clip talking about the Tallarico Senate race. The path to victory, if you're running for office in either party, is to come out in opposition to these data centers, because this is something that nobody ran on. Nobody pitched during the campaign season. We didn't hear dick about data centers in 2024. Not a thing. All of a sudden, 6,000 of them come into a city near you. Talk about a fucking swindle. Talk about a fucking con. I mean, it is just the biggest bait and switch in modern political history, I think, bar none. Bar none, but it's a bridge too far for ordinary people, and they are coming out and speaking their mind against it, and good for them.
Well, what you're really seeing in these times played out is power will take as much as you let them have. I always bring up this example. It was very eerie. If you saw the actual original version of Speak No Evil, where this couple gets gradually psychologically broken down and eventually just absolutely horribly tortured by another couple. And they say, why did you do this to us? He says, because you let me. That's America to me. That's America. Like, they'll go as far as you let them. This isn't over. Like, yeah, people are standing up and they're voting against it. That's great. You covered the other day how the NYPD is putting together a plan that frames people who are opposed to these centers as terrorists. That's going to be the next step. They're going to go as far as they can get away with. You're seeing that more and more with the just erosion of your schools, the erosion of your healthcare, the erosion of the quality of your food. These guys run on Maha and then they give you glyphosate, right? Like they'll push it as far as they can. This is why, and hey, not advocating anything. I'm quoting one of the founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, that the tree of liberty periodically needs to be refreshed with blood. That was what he meant by that. Like the revolutionary spirit of people versus power, that doesn't just maintain itself because power will always encroach on the rights of the people without being pushed back. Now, the last time we really had that kind of a fight was the Gilded Age with the formation of unions, and a lot of people died, man, going out on the front lines against the strike breakers. Carnegie, whose name is on all of these monuments, that guy, he sent out troops and killed people, man.
Yeah, the
They
Ludlow
opened
massacre.
fire. They opened fire on these protesters. That's what it took to get an 8-hour workday. That was the prelude to the New Deal. That was the background for the New Deal. And the Populist Party in the late 19th century really established these demands for these kinds of working conditions. Theodore Roosevelt was really the first president to incorporate their proposals, antitrust, breaking up these large corporations into actual actionable policy. That took decades, and a lot of people died fighting for that. That was the last time, really, that in a major way people rose up, not taking it to the extreme Jefferson proposed, but it did get violent. Like there were in a minor way, it wasn't like a revolutionary war, but you did have constant violent clashes
The
between
oligarchs killed the
strikers and
workers.
the strike breakers.
Yeah.
Well, they would in New York, they would hire street gangs to fight against the strike breakers. So you did have those kind of skirmishes, you might say. But you also had general strikes, mass labor movements. And it took decades. And then finally it took a depression before you could really enact these policies that they had been pushing since the Gilded Age, since the late 19th century. If you this is what you're seeing with these data centers. Like, look at this, man. Like, they're just ready to put this right in communities and just expect people to swallow it. They will take as much from you as you let them. And the American people are, going to be left in the position, why'd you do this to me? And Elon and Bezos and the rest of them are going to look at you and they're going to say, because you let us. You let us. They'll take as much from you as you let them take. America, statistically, they tell you, oh, it's the greatest country on earth. Statistically, this is a shithole. In terms of the median income, it's one of the poorest of industrialized nations. In terms of how the average person actually lives, the average person's actual purchasing power, you are one of the poorest countries among industrialized nations. You're not the richest. You're rich in terms of GDP. It doesn't mean that means nothing. When Elon buys a new yacht, when Jeff Bezos buys a new private plane, that adds to GDP. That's doing nothing for you. In terms of the average person, you're living in shit. You have a higher childbirth mortality rate than most other industrialized countries. You have a dropping lifespan. You have worse outcomes in your healthcare system. You're living in total shit. Why? Because you let them. You let them. And this is why they have to spend so much time dividing people and propagandizing them and scaring them out of seeing other parts of the world. That's why they tell you the world is dangerous. The world's dangerous. America incarcerates more people than any other country by far. I think we have triple the incarceration rate that China has, that you're supposed to see as so authoritarian. The murder rates, the violence rates, like most country, you'd have to go to like really dysfunctional societies to find the chances of getting violently murdered on the street that you find in the United States. You got to go to like really desperately poor countries where there's very little government control, a lot of drug cartels. Like you got to go to really fucked up places before you're in as much danger of getting shot as you are in the United States. So how the hell are they going to keep you on the fence? They got to keep you fighting each other. They got to keep you fighting each other on culture. They got to keep you fighting on race. This data center thing, this is the first round. This is why I lay all this out. They're going to send the troops out on you. That is what is going to end up. That is what I believe will happen in the end. They're not going to accept that. They're not going to accept that. In the end, they're going to start to, this already happened somewhere, where they overrode a community that said they didn't want the data centers. They're going to start to do that, and when you try to stop them, they're going to come kill you, just like Carnegie did. And that's when you're really going to have to decide, are you going to let them? That's how I believe this is going to end up. They're not going to accept democratic process. They never have before. They're not going to now.
Well, what I would say to that, we can trade shoes here for a moment, and I'll offer the less black-pilled take. You know, in Minneapolis, they literally did send troops out. And, you know, we saw for a full year this rapid expansion of ICE and, you know, some really terrifying scenes. And I'm not going to say that that is all over now. It's not all over now. But the Minneapolis operation was a deliberate escalation. Right. And a few months before that, over the summertime, there was this, Brianna Joy Gray called it One Battle After Another Coded because she hates that movie so much. But there was this, you know, ragtag group of, I guess, anarchists or Antifa, whatever, who tried to commandeer an ICE center. And, of course, they failed. And now they're going to face a long time in jail because Antifa's terrorism now. So those charges get escalated. And so it's the sentencing. And that happened over the summer, and a lot of people didn't even hear about it because it moved the needle really not much at all, and you know, ICE expansion went on unchecked. In Minneapolis, you had, and it wasn't framed this way by much of the media because they don't like to use the word general strike. But what happened in Minneapolis after the killing of Alex Preddy and Renee Good was essentially a general strike. It wasn't a very long general strike, but you had a couple days there where tens of thousands of people skipped work, they got out in the streets. They stood there. They didn't riot. They didn't burn down buildings. They didn't attack people. And a couple days later, ICE was packing up and moving out, right? And the reason I say that, the reason I use that example is because when you see the number of people so overwhelmingly united around this issue, you have the opportunity in that case to create political power. Right? Because you have overwhelming majorities on your side. They can't be divided. They can't be factionalized the way most people can most of the time. That's how scumbags get in office, who all of a sudden pull a card out of the deck. Hey, 6,000 data centers. Who voted for that? Nobody. Who campaigned on that? Nobody. When you have this kind of consensus, you have the ability to build political power and create political power. And yeah, the state, of course, has reacted violently to that in the past. You gave some examples of that. And so that's always a risk. But, you know, step one is always to build that solidarity and to nurture it and to really act upon it in ways that lift up your neighbors, because it's going to take an overwhelming majority of people to build the political power to stop this. Because I don't want a civil war. I don't think any reasonable person does want a civil war. But that is a direction that you're heading in if that solidarity is not built. Because, of course, they're going to try and divide people. But when you see this instant activation around this issue from people you would least expect it from, Trump voters, I mean, overwhelming, these places overwhelmingly voted for the very people who are now trying to do this to them, that is a good sign. That is a good sign. And you can only do, what you can do in the moment. And, I think, broadly speaking, in preparation for this AI, hey, if you and your neighbors and your community, if you can start a food pantry, start it now. Don't wait until it's too late. No, I'm not kidding. I mean, look, here's the big picture. Big picture here, whether it's data centers or anything else, right? Maybe these data centers can be scaled back so that they're not blasting a fucking, 3 million watt air conditioner into your house at all hours of the day. Vladimir Putin recently said, Vladimir Putin, not an Elon Musk fan. He recently said, AI is going to change everything. It's going to replace human labor. This is irreversible at this point. Right? So you have a cataclysm on your hands either way, whether it's data centers or anything else. You have to organize very serious mutual aid networks in order to be able to sustain that cataclysm. You cannot wait for a UBI check, which is going to come with all kinds of strings attached from, Palantir, right? You have to go out and actually build community so that when that day comes where, hey, all of a sudden, you know what? The energy footprint is unsustainable. We're going to have energy lockdowns. When that day comes, you have to be ready. You have to be ready. And you need solidarity in order to be ready for that. You need food banks, community gardens, libraries, all that stuff. It's super important. It's super important. And it's important to get out ahead of that, because if you wait till the day they tell you have to stay inside, well, we know how that worked out last time, right? Yeah. Everybody waited around. One day they said, hey, you can't go outside anymore. And what happened? The society never really recovered from that. Like, we've never really recovered from COVID, you see it, there are certain times in your life where that occurs to you in ways that it doesn't on a regular basis. Like, I had to buy a drill bit the other day. I'm calling Home Depot to see if they have it. I'm on hold 7 minutes with robots. This did not happen before the pandemic. The pandemic was a consolidation of corporate power, right? It was an evisceration of small businesses where, forget about it. I mean, the local hardware store, no chance that has what you're looking for. They're running on fumes now. They can barely open the fucking place. And, you talk to a robot at Home Depot. That is a product of the pandemic. Things are open less late than they used to be. Like, so you saw what happened the first time, dude, because nobody was ready.
Even in Harlem, the bodegas are not open all night like they were.
No,
before.
They're not open.
They never went back to that.
They never went back to that. Nobody ever went back to that. So if you look at that as precedent, and you look at that and you say, okay, we're going to learn from that. The way you learn from that is you got to be ready for the next cataclysm before it hits. By the time it hits, it's too late. So touch grass, grow food, take care of each other now, because it's going to be the only thing you have in very short order, I think.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that people can't or won't fight back. I was saying that's what it's going to be. Like, don't think you're just going to go vote and they're going to go, okay. It's not going to be like that, man. They're going to wind up trying to, if people keep voting against it, they're going to go around the vote. And that's when you're going to have to put up or shut up, or they're just going to do it whether you want them to or not.
I mean, like I said, in Minneapolis, they literally did send the troops in, right? Like, we have examples of that, where they literally do something. Ultimately, it's a country of 300 million people. That makes a lot of things impossible, but it also makes, overcoming that kind of public sentiment impossible as well. as well. And look, if it's not data centers, it'll be something else. Like Putin said, the AI revolution is upon us. There's no stopping it. It's a matter of organizing your communities to protect your way of life in your community, and that's all you can do. I mean, you can't really do much beyond that. That's why they say all politics is local. That's a very wise phrase, that all politics is local.
It's going to be very interesting to see how all of the capitalist promoters are able to push those talking points in a world that doesn't need your labor.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Well, that's why, I mean, the message is not
Pull
landing.
yourself up by your bootstraps is going to be a very hard argument to make.
Their bullshit is not working in the deepest, reddest of places, and I think this is another phenomenon that is kind of interesting. You know, it's hitting the reddest places first because they're the most rural. It's where they have the most room to build these things, right? So they're going to these places that voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump and for, you know, a more conservative pro-capitalist vision of the world. And they're saying, all right, well, hey, great news. We're going to invest a few $1 billion in your community to build this giant project. Great idea, huh? And they're like, no, wow. You know, they're not building one of these things in New York City yet because there's no space for it, right?
No.
They got to go to the rural areas where they're getting much more pushback than they thought. And that's a good sign.
Honestly, on that level, that has been one of the things that has made me like when I think about buying a house somewhere. It makes me hesitate because they do tend to seem to do this kind of shit to those communities. Like when you find out they dumped 700 million tons of toxic chemicals in a place, it's always one of those places.
Right. All righty. Well, on that note, let's read our remaining chats and rants, and then we will pack it in for today. Kenman G says, but if you tell anyone Israel's holding the world hostage, progressives just say, yeah, and the Illuminati, call you a conspiracy theorist who blames Jews for everything. Well, yeah, that's a problem. That is certainly a problem. I'm sympathetic to that problem. Vienticus Prime says, I've worked in data centers. They have pumps and fans always running, which is where all the noise comes from. So are you a landlord and a data center pioneer, Vienticus?
Okay, this guy's a shill, man.
Yeah, man. Between this guy, you and Sammy should create a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So they have, they have to. Well, the water is for cooling, right? That's what it is.
Chutney
you need
and
water
prime.
to cool shit down. What's that?
Chutney and prime.
Chutney and prime. Yeah, it's like a Indian steakhouse. Chutney and prime. Vienticus prime. Although that's an oxymoron, right? The Indians, they're not supposed to eat cows.
No.
Vienticus.
Well, I mean, Sammy's Jewish. He probably does.
Yeah. A Jewish Indian steakhouse. There you go. That's what I call fusion.
Now that's niche.
Yeah, that is a fusion cuisine right there. Vienticus Prime, in Somerset, New Jersey, people keep going up during council and saying they want data centers.
They don't want
the data centers and warehouses. Yep, I believe it. Race car, thanks to the $20. Man, guys, I just found out Campbell's alphabet soup contains all 26 letters in equal portions. Does that make it a woke soup? I didn't know that. That's a fun fact. Yeah. Ardeen W says the government is going to criminalize anyone who opposes data centers. Good thing they invested so quickly in those ICE facilities. Well, that's what Jimmy's been saying.
I agree. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think you guys formulated that thesis. Iran's lodging training in Tijuana during the World Cup. They play in LA and Seattle. Hope they go far in tournament. People in Tijuana and Baja, Mexico are excited to host them. Yo, man, between the fucking immigration and Ebola, this is going to be some fucking World Cup. You think about it, right? Talk about having to screen people for Ebola. I mean, think about it. This headline is actually kind of plausible. You know, ICE raids soccer stadium as 60,000 shit themselves to death. That could be a real headline. I don't know what the odds are on Kalshi for that being a real headline, but it's possible. It's greater than zero.
You know, with or without Ebola, this is sure to be a shit show of epic proportions. Yeah. I am just waiting for the boat to hit the iceberg.
Imagine. Yeah, that's going to be some World Cup. Imagine ICE raiding a stadium during an Ebola outbreak.
They will never do a World Cup in America again after this one.
Yeah, no, fuck no. Andy Gardner, I want less resources for my Elon Knight animations. Thank you for that, Andy Gardner. EO Shush says, Rush, should leagues follow the NFL model of shared revenue shared revenue and a cap, or an MLB model where big markets outspend everyone? One is more fair, but knowing your Yankee fandom, the NFL model would hurt them. Ha, good one. Well, I know that was a joke.
Yeah,
You're right, Matt.
I mean, I actually do know about that. And yes, I support the NFL model.
Yeah.
Honestly, one of the reasons that I would never follow baseball is because of that. Like, they fucking. The only reason I'm aware of this is because fucking George Will was always on about this shit.
Yeah.
Well, then why did the Yankees lose? Well, then why did the Yankees lose?
Well, yeah. I mean, in baseball, anything can happen in a playoff series. That's why, I mean, the Yankees, the Yankees have only won one title in the last 25 years, but what? They've made the playoffs in 20 out of 26 years, whereas, the Oakland A's, they can't even keep their stadium. They get
the
forced
obvious
out.
answer to that. Like, okay, so why are the Yankees the winningest team in baseball?
Right.
Sure, like there's an element of chance in sport. You got all of these teams attracting all of this talent from all over the country, all over the world in some cases. Yeah, man, no matter how much money you spend, you can't guarantee that this team's always going to win. But statistically, they're going to win more.
Yes.
So how is that sport? It's not sport. That's not even sport to me.
Yeah, and the big market teams are always going to win more in the end. Whereas, in football, you have a team like the Green Bay Packers in a very small market that has built great teams.
Yeah, no, I know. It may come as a surprise, but I am aware of this debate.
There you go. Boom. EO Shush. Vienticus. By the way, I hope you guys will enjoy the reading material. Thank you. Yes, that is a lot of material that you send us, Vienticus. Appreciate that. Raven Laz, these data centers.
Kate just told me I finally finished that Finkelstein Burn the Bridge book. I got nothing to read when I take a dump. Came just in time.
Yeah. These data centers can exceed temperature hotter than the surface of the sun, hence the need for tons of water to cool them. Yeah. I've heard someone say that. I don't know if I buy that figure, but I know they can get pretty hot. And who knows? That could be correct. All right, everybody. Hey, that's our show. Want to thank you all very, very much for being here. Appreciate you all. Special shout out to Jake in the booth for joining us for a matinee. If you're watching on YouTube, you are going to be redirected to my top 5 album of 1996 countdown coming up in just 5 minutes. If you're on Rumble, you're going to go to Sabby Sabs. I'm going to raid her stream. So shout out to Sabby. Thanks, everybody, very much for being here. Appreciate you all. Thanks to the YouTubers. Thanks to the Rumblers. Thanks to the mods for keeping the peace in the chat. Once again, no Q&A today. Q&A will be this Tuesday after the 1 p.m. show, which will be cool. Give our European and overseas dissidents a chance to call in for a change during the week. Appreciate you all being here. Until we see you again, thank you very much for today. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.